okay.
Yeah.
It was okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think all in all, I think the weighting of it, the kind of what's coming, I think all in all, it was pretty good. I think it
We're not
was.
scared of them anymore at the NCAA
No. How could you be scared of them? But we have.
until they selectively
Well,
decide, yeah, we're going to put you on probation.
that is very true. But I think all in all,
But
it
it wasn't that.
was no. I think it was good. There is a financial fine in there. There is a percentage that has to go to the 1% of a percentage that has to go to the NCAA because of what happened. But all in all, vacated wins at the end of the day. Okay. But all in all, no suspension for anybody on the Tigers staff right now. Not a suspension to Penny Hardaway. No postseason
No missed
ban.
NC tournament.
Yeah, so I think all no scholarship reduction. I mean, I think all the things that you think about when you talk about the NCAA coming down. I think you avoided all of that. So I thought relatively good news, and I think now a time where we can really kind of move on and start thinking about the future for Tiger basketball.
Anyway, now to go back and start the lawsuit game over Haggerty.
You mean Danger?
Danger.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
yeah.
Danger's eligibility.
I think that ship has sailed, but
let's leave well enough alone.
Yeah, I think we walk out with thumbs up after today, and we go let's move on. Future.
I'm here to say good day for the Tigers Athletics Department, Dr. Ed Scott. This is behind you. Now just go win ball games, fundraise. Winning is the best marketing plan. You've got this behind you. And at the middle of all that, at the very beginning of all of it, with Malcolm Dandridge, a very popular player that was having a good, productive year that year, the Tigers, they moved quickly, put him on the sideline. And I think getting out in front of anything always helps.
Yeah, and that was kind of the thing is when it happened and we learned, hey, he's not going to play these next couple of games, and we kind of learned there's an issue behind the scenes, academics. We didn't really have the full story when it was going on, but we knew something was
We were
there.
scared it was multiple players.
We were very scared. And so, but we saw him miss that time. I think that was good for the Tigers. I think the NCAA probably saw that and said, well, they're getting out in front of this. They're not playing in more games than since they know that this is coming down. So, maybe that helped the Tigers a little bit in terms of what came down from the NCAA today. But all in all, a good opportunity for the Tigers to move on from this, because I think we've been sitting here saying after the last couple of years now of, all right, well, what's next for the Tigers? But when do we hear news from the NCAA? And finally, we got that news today and can move on as a program.
I just don't think the story, or like I said, that initial concussion of, oh no, what is this? And I'm thinking, of all days, that we would, if it was NC a tournament probation or Coach Hardaway in serious trouble, we would just scrap everything and go wall to wall with that news, with Tiger basketball news. Of course we would have. But I say all in all, it's not unflattering. It's not unflattering out there. Look, we know it gets messy out there in college sports. And the NCAA, they're as scared of lawsuits now as anyone.
Oh, of course. We see
they're
it.
just not the bullies they used to be.
No, we see it.
Good.
It feels like almost every month where there's some sort of lawsuit coming out, or at least the threat of a lawsuit. So
and they're over.
Well, that is that. Well, except for Zakai Ziegler, I guess that was the only one that they actually kind of ruled and said, no, Zakai, you can't play anymore. But everybody else is getting to play more, and it was weird. That one.
All right, I've been positive. Can I go really brooding and sinister and go, woe is me?
Please do.
Last big NCAA heavy hand. Thank you. We got it at Ole Miss. Thanks, NCAA. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, I guess that
really appreciate you.
I guess that is the flip side of that. But Jason Munns, our friend over at the Commercial Appeal, he's done a great job of covering this all day. Obviously, it's been a developing story since the news came out from the NCAA. He did say, we talked about vacating wins, whatever that really gets you. He put this out a couple hours ago. The men's basketball program must vacate 3 wins, so only 3 wins, Wichita State, Temple, and Tulane from the period between January 25th and February 18th, 2020.
Does Ron Hunter count that as a win?
I would. If I was him, I'd count it. Might as well.
No, you can't count a vacated, can you? That's
but
bogus.
in his kind of fun nature, I could see him at kind of the press conference before they play Memphis of like, well,
hey, Penny, I got you again.
We beat them in 2024. I don't know if y'all saw the news, but that was a win. So we're actually, whatever record against him, those two have a lot of fun with each other when they play. But no, I thought good news for the Tigers, and now can put it behind us. And the big thing, like you've mentioned, like we've said now a couple times, no postseason ban, no scholarship reduction, nothing along those lines, no suspension for Penny Hardaway. Anything you'll see on the court, Memphis avoided, which is huge.
Onward and upward from here, and another good example, Brian, another learning for all of us. When you see that screaming headline, remember when that broke, there were rumors everywhere in town. And I don't think we went with a lot of this. I know we didn't, but you could talk to a lot about, it's 6 or 8 or 10 players, and if they suspend them all, can't field a team. And
right.
Coach Hardaway, this one, he kind of got the break before. This is a big one. Remember that first read of history is not always as dire as a lot report.
That's right. So good news for Tiger basketball. Brian, I know we're going to talk a lot of SEC today, but how much of the All-Star game did you catch last night?
I did, and I've been consistent with all day, said that this morning with Greg and Eli, look, a long time ago we marginalized, de-emphasized the All-Star game, and that's what it is. That's what it is now. Yep. It's a fun night in the middle of the summer at the All-Star Game City. Okay, we had fun last night. You saw the headline early this morning. I think ESPN headline was 6-6, and then kind of in parentheses was the tie break.
Yeah.
If you were a coma guy that Landon and Derry and I talked about a few weeks ago, and you woke up and go, "What, you can tie in baseball?" And now you're doing all this. I said I don't think you could. When we did the coma topic, I don't think you could explain baseball to somebody that may have checked out for a long time.
Well, that's true.
But that's the state of the game right now. But I think a fun time was had by a lot of people last night. Baseball needed that night. It's been popularly received.
Yeah, no, I think it was a lot of fun. I was able to catch a lot of it. I had a prior engagement where I was not around any televisions or anything, but got to it probably around 5th or 6th inning, 2-0. Saw the NL make it 6-0, and then obviously the comeback by the AL. But what I saw, it was really fun. I was texting some friends of this is by far the best All-Star game that we have in our Big Four sports, and I don't think it's really I don't think it's close at all when you kind of look at what the NBA is, what NFL is, what hockey is. It's not any close. And then I thought some of what they did, and I didn't even know this, did it in stadium as well, but obviously watching it on TV, but the tribute to Hank Aaron I thought was beautifully done. Was really cool. So I thought all in all, it was a really good night for the All-Star game and for Major League Baseball.
It was a good night. Does baseball All-Star game ever go the full way of the Pro Bowl, and we really don't have it at all?
I don't think so. I know there's been talk about guys that elected, either pitchers not to throw or guys just electing not to go to the All-Star game. I know there was a lot of talk last night about some of the big stars that were starters last night. They got up out of there. When they were pulled in the 3rd or 4th inning, they got out of there and went and tried to get a quick vacation in. And so there was a lot of talk about that.
They were home by the end of the game.
And that was the big talk is because, you need guys to hit home runs now that we're down to a swing off and you don't have some of those big names. So I think a lot of people, or some people, were a little upset by that. But I don't think so. I think baseball's in a good spot with their All-Star game where you can continue to do this and it should be fine, in my opinion at least.
And eventually, actuarial tables and mortality will get all of us that always constantly refer to this. At some point, we got to move on from Pete Rose running over Ray Fosse.
Yeah.
That happened one time, and it's never happening again in an All-Star game or in any other game. And that was vintage All-Star years. That happened in 70, and then 71 was the moonshot home run by Reggie Jackson off the light stanchion in right field at Tiger Stadium. Nobody else can name any All-Star game action from any other years around that. Maybe the Heat in St. Louis at New Busch Stadium, that's now Old Busch Stadium, when Casey Stengel said, y'all really hold the Heat well here in your new stadium. That's about all anybody can remember from back in the day, and me and a bunch of other old codgers like to wax about it.
Yeah, well, hey, I mean, maybe it's time. Like, as you have, changed your history of your top teams of all time, maybe we need to change our history in terms of looking back at All-Star games. Time keeps on moving.
We'll really change someday.
Yeah, well, that is.
We'll all be out at the cemetery.
Well, it's
So
a little morbid,
it.
but yes, I guess that is true. But no, I mean, you look back, and I don't think there's been any.
Let's move on from Pete Rose running over Ray Foster.
I think it's time to move on. I think these All-Star games have been really good. It
was only 55 summers ago.
Yeah, no, wow, that is time has moved on from then. So I think it's time for us to move on from it. Well, in Atlanta at SEC Media Days, we know 4 new teams that spoke today: Mississippi State, Florida, Oklahoma, and Alabama. These are 4 teams where I think a lot of question marks surrounding their program. You look at Mississippi State, obviously a complete rebuild for them. I think the biggest question is, where can they improve this season? Oklahoma, very clearly, they weren't ready for the SEC last year in year 1.
They fibbed to us.
One team
I've been fibbed to.
told us
Brian,
the
I've
truth,
been
the other
fibbed to
fibbed.
before.
Yeah.
I've been fibbed to before by teams and things and other things.
Yeah, we saw it last year with Oklahoma. How can they improve?
Brian, I must confess, I fibbed a time or two too.
Well, I think we've all been there. So don't feel alone in that. But they went out into the portal and really tried to revamp, especially that offense. What do they look like in 2025? Alabama, a good season, but not a good season to Alabama standards. So a lot of questions there. Questions around Florida now with DJ Lagway and the injuries and his offseason. So I thought 4 really intriguing teams that took the podium today.
High hard one. You didn't know you were going to get this today, did you?
I had no idea I was getting a high hard one today.
I'm sorry for brains almost mush on a Wednesday.
Day 3 of SEC Media Days, but here we go.
In American sport, give me one team that has the highest standards. You said the high standards of Alabama, and that provoked it. The one team in American sport that has the highest of standards.
Jeez, I don't know, because I think the teams that come to mind to me immediately are some of those
championship teams.
But it's those big name, the biggest franchises like the Cowboys, the Lakers, the Yankees. But the problem with all 3 of those teams, there are high expectations every year for those teams. But what if they won to warrant those high expectations over these last couple of years? So, I mean, it honestly might be Alabama and Alabama.
I think
football.
it is Alabama, and I know the whole take out this the Bryant Saban years. Well, I mean, who's going to take out their 2 of the great chapters in the history of their sport? But it's much more than that. Bama goes back to the 1920s and the 1930s. Before World War II. Now, it was really lean after the war, before Mama called and Coach Bryant went to Alabama from Texas A&M. But I think it is Alabama. And now this year, serious questions of, is that being eroded a little bit?
Yeah, there are real questions out there, and kind of what do they have to do in order to, things to kind of settle down a little bit and things to be good for Kalen DeBoer. We've talked a lot about that. We'll talk about that later today when Ryan Fowler joins us to talk Alabama. Well, a super busy show this afternoon. Let me set it up before we get to top and not top story of the day. 3:30, Brian Haydad from Sports Talk Mississippi. He'll join us to talk Mississippi State and what to expect, what improvements we could see for the Bulldogs in year 2 for Jeff Lebby. 3:45, we'll talk the Florida side of things. Edgar Thompson from the Orlando Sentinel will join us. We will talk the Florida Gators. We'll talk DJ Lagway and another tough schedule for Florida. We'll talk a lot of Florida at 3:45. 4 o'clock, we'll switch gears. We'll talk golf, the Open Championship. We'll get started here, and feels like just a couple hours, Brett, we'll be seeing some golf taking place across the pond. But John Goen from Timber Trust will join us. We'll talk golf, make our weekly picks with him. 4:30, Brandon Drum from the OU rival site. He will join us to talk the Oklahoma Sooners and everything we can expect for them in year 2 of the SEC play for them. 4:45, we'll get to big number of the day. 5 o'clock, I mentioned it. Ryan Fowler from the game in Tuscaloosa. We'll talk Alabama. We'll talk Kalen DeBoer. Ty Simpson sounds like he'll be the starter for them, so a lot to get to when it comes to Alabama. We'll do that at 5 o'clock with Ryan Fowler. 5:30, the commissioner, Greg Sankey, commissioner of the SEC, will join us. He'll be at the desk with Brett, and we'll talk all things SEC. There's a lot going around, all of college football, all of college athletics, but we know with the SEC, 8 or 9 game schedule, we know playoffs, a lot to get to with Commissioner Greg Sankey about the SEC. We will do that at 5:30. And at 5:45, we'll wrap up today's show like we always do with Moe's Crunch Time. Let me remind you, we're in our Family Leisure Studios where family and fun come together. And Family Leisure needs your help to clear out the warehouse. All in-stock patio furniture up to 60% off. 4-piece deep seating set, only $999. And Chase Lounges, buy one, get one half off. Right now, all Polywood furniture, 20 to 30% off. And if you go out there and purchase that outdoor dining room table, get a free umbrella with that purchase. And don't forget about the special financing, only available at Family Leisure, 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40.
We are Sportstime, and we're with you until 6 o'clock. We want you to be a part of our show by texting or calling 901-360-8255. That's the Sissy's Log Cabin text and talk line. Hit us up there. He's Brian. I'm Brett. Our producer is Landon Schmidt. And we're always, wherever we are, we're always in our Family Leisure Studios. And thank you so much to Billy and Lindsay for that. And this hour of our show brought to you every day by Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Great offers on all 2025 models and always special leasing options. Drive in luxury and confidence, knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Call them at 901-334-9673, but stop by the only Lexus dealership in Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of the all-new 2025 flagship LS500, and you'll be driving in style. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and that makes for the safe luxury driving experience. Online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
Well, my top story of the day, it's got to be day 3 of SEC Media Days. I mentioned those 4 teams that took the podium earlier today: Mississippi State, Florida, Oklahoma, and Alabama. I think questions around all 4 of those teams and what 2025 can be. The expectations very different for all 4 of those programs. You look at a team like Mississippi State after the year they hadn't really, after everything that has taken place around this Mississippi State program over the last handful of years, it was a bad year last year. How can they improve? How can they start building a foundation with Jeff Lebby as their head coach? When you look at Oklahoma, it just didn't look like they were ready for SEC play in year 1. Can they show that they've made the changes in year 2 to be SEC ready? And you look at a coach there that is on the hot seat. What does it look like for him? He's going to have to go out there and do some winning if Brent Venables wants to continue to be the head coach at Oklahoma. Then you look at other teams like Florida, where the expectations are a little higher, but you have a coach in Billy Napier where I think the question is still out there of, is he the right man for the job as Florida's head coach, a guy that we talked about last year at SEC Media Days being on the hot seat at Florida. And then the big one, Alabama, a 9-4 season that doesn't feel anything like a 9-4 season. That's because of Alabama and the elite standards that they have for their football program. When you take over after Nick Saban, the expectation is to continue to do what Nick Saban did. And we know that that is very hard to do for anybody. But now Kalen DeBoer in year 2, it feels like, needs to get to a college football playoff. It will be tough. It won't be easy. We know a new quarterback in there in Ty Simpson. So question marks for all 4 of these teams, but it was fun to hear from all 4 of these head coaches and the expectations they have for this upcoming season.
My top story is Tiger basketball, and it's kind of in the realm of top story and move on. Finally over. Nothing else linger. There's nothing else kind of hanging on. Really can kind of live again with Tiger basketball. For Coach Hardaway, got, I think, very favorable news today. Yeah, I'm not paying the $30,000 fine. I couldn't. But they can. And in the big scheme of things, I never want to poo-poo money. I really don't. But in the big scheme of things in college sports, that's not too bad, and they can handle that. Ed Scott now, he can really – this is the first time in his AD tenure there's nothing hanging out there, Bryant. I mean, kind of everything's been resolved. Yep. And now just go fundraise, go win. That's the best marketing plan always, and hopefully, something along in conference realignment come along. At least we know this. Nobody can use this as an excuse. We don't want to mess with you in conference realignment or expansion of anything because, you got the NCAA issue. It's over.
Yeah, put it behind us.
Not top story of the day.
Well, my not top story of the day, it is the Major League Baseball All-Star Game last night. I thought a lot of fun. I thought Fox did a great job with their broadcast, and I thought it was a lot of fun. When you look at Major League Baseball, it makes it a little bit easier to have an all-star game that looks very similar to the product on the field during the season. I think that's what we saw last night. Obviously, a ton of unbelievable players, a ton of deserving players that were out there and playing for both the AL and NL. It looked like the NL was going to run away with it, up 6-0, but then here comes the AL. They tie it in the ninth inning, 6-6, and we go to extra innings, which in the All-Star game means a home run swing-off between the two teams, which was a lot of fun. We saw Brent Rooker get up there, hit 2 of his 3 home runs, and then Kyle Schwarber stepped up, and it was no challenge for him. 3 balls, 3 home runs to put his team over the top. And then I saw this, a really cool story. Jeff Passan pointed out that Nathan Eovaldi did not make the All-Star team, but the Texas Rangers are giving him his $100,000 All-Star bonus in his contract, even though he didn't make the AL team. Eovaldi has been unbelievable this season, posting a 1.58 ERA over 91 innings, and didn't get the call to the All-Star game. Was a major snub when you were looking at those snubs, but really cool to see the Rangers saying, you're an all-star in our book. You've done everything we've needed you to do. It's not your fault that you didn't get picked to be out there. We're still going to give you that bonus that's in your contract. You don't see many teams doing that. Very cool to see the Rangers do it.
Yeah, you really don't see many people just to spend money for the heck of it. My not top story of the 4 teams assembled here today at SEC Media Days. And that 4 teams, 2 second-year coaches, Kalen DeBoer and Jeff Levy, both started with different challenges in those jobs. We know that. And then 2 coaches that last year got a few people off of them, but they still need this year to really back off some of the critics, and that's Florida with Billy Napier and Oklahoma with Brent Venables. And the collection of quarterbacks here today. We don't know much about Ty Simpson. We think we know a lot about DJ Lagway, and we're going to learn a lot more when we visit with Edgar Thompson here in a few minutes about the Florida Gators, about 3:45. And Blake Shapen at Mississippi State. We'll visit with Brian Haydad after this break about him, and hopefully he can stay on the field. And everybody's expecting big things from John Mateer.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, and that's kind of the thing is we came into SEC Media Days with all of these questions about the quarterback play in the SEC. And you're right, these are 4 teams where quarterbacks are a big question for all of them.
Brian, I love this event, and I love the summertime run-up to college football.
Yeah.
Everybody's undefeated. Everybody's in a good mood. We got all these questions. But then you know what I really love?
What's that?
We get down to the pads popping, and we get down to the scoreboard is the decider. We get down to results, and then all those questions get answered.
They do, and that's kind of the beauty of SEC Media Days. It's a whole week of talking about all these teams, all these questions, and then we get out of it, and it's kind of, all right, let's get to practices opening. Let's get to everything starting. Then let's get to that on-the-field actual games, results, and then you're right, all of these questions, they'll be answered at the end of the season for all of these teams.
And then we get down to the chestnut cracking.
Yes, we absolutely do, which is always fun. That's what we like. That's what we're here for. We're here for the on the field, for the games at hand. Definitely a lot of fun. Well, that'll do it for top and not top story of the day. A very busy show, like I mentioned, but I do want to remind you something we're doing here at Sports 56 at Flynn Broadcasting that I want to put in everybody's mind, keep in everybody's mind over the next week or so. 1 out of 4 parents can't afford to buy school supplies for their children to go back to school. Teachers have to pay out of pocket for needed materials for their classrooms. Please help us at Flynn Broadcasting, Kroger, and U-Haul help our children by dropping off essential school supplies for this school year. Friday, July 25th, John Harden will be broadcasting Happy Hour from 11 to 1 at the Kroger, located at 3685 Houston Levee, collecting school supplies for those in need this upcoming school year. So come out Friday, July 25th, see John Harden, check out Happy Hour from 11 to 1 at the Kroger at 3685 Houston Levee, and help us stuff the bus. Well, we need to get to another break. We're at College Football Hall of Fame in Atlanta at SEC Media Days. Our great sponsors that are making this possible: Landers Ford in Collierville, Sissy's Log Cabin, Jason's Deli, First National Bank and Trust, Jim's Place in Collierville, East Memphis Ace Hardware, Gould's Salon and Spa, Ronnie Grazzani's in Regalia, All-Star Chevrolet in Olive Branch, and Jimmy McElroy and Associates. Thank you so much for being with us this week. But let's get to a break. When we come back, we're talking Mississippi State. Brian Haydad from Sports Talk Mississippi. He joins us next on Sports Time.
Add a little fun to your lunch break. Join Johnny Radio for Sports 56 Happy Hour from 11 to 1 every weekday on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
So you need to sell your house? I have the solution. Call 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Call my buddy Bill at I Buy Houses. Any house, any area, as is. It's literally as simple as that. Just pick up your phone. Call 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Call my buddy Bill at I Buy Houses. Guaranteed to close in 5 days. If you need to sell your house fast, call Bill at 901-406-1101. That's Bill at I Buy Houses.
Getting engaged is one of life's most spectacular occasions. And when you find your ring at Sissy's Log Cabin, the promise of a lifetime begins with our promise to always provide unmatched quality, superior service, and brilliant natural diamonds. Find your dream engagement ring, wedding bands, and more when you shop Sissy'sLogCabin.com or stop by any of our 7 locations. Begin the rest of your lives brilliantly. Only at Sissy's Log Cabin, because life's too short for ordinary jewelry.
Let's up your life with Let's.
Surprise the family with a new club car and experience the best golf cart in the industry. A new golf cart is perfect for cruising the neighborhood, enjoying yourself at the lake, turning heads on the course, and just having something reliable to use around the yard. Ladd's has you covered with new and used golf cars. The new club car Onward, available in electric or gas and a variety of colors and features. Ladd's goes beyond the green. Whitten and I-40 or online at lads.net.
Hi, I'm Glenda Hastings, owner of Napa Cafe, and I'm inviting you over for dinner. Treat yourself tonight with a delightful dinner of scrumptious combinations, fresh salads, homemade soups, or maybe start with an appetizer, like our baked Dungeness crab dip with manchego cheese, lemon, garlic, and French baguette toast. Drift into one of our fresh seafood dishes, like the caramelized sea scallops with curry beurre blanc, black forbidden rice, and Thai mango salad, or our ancho honey glazed salmon with creamy black bean puree, avocado pico de gallo, and jalapeno crema. Maybe you're looking for something cozy and comforting, like our Duroc pork chop with apple brandy demi-glaze and blue cheese bacon mashed potatoes. We have something for everyone. Napa Cafe, open Wednesday through Saturday for dinner starting at 5 o'clock. For reservations, visit our website at napacafe.com. Come join us. I'd sure love to see you.
Congratulations to Napa Cafe, celebrating 27 years of great food and service for you. Napa Cafe.
Please help the children with back-to-school supplies. 1 out of 4 families can't afford to buy back-to-school supplies for their children to go back to school. Teachers have to pay out of pocket for needed materials for their classrooms. So please help the children by dropping off essential school supplies for the school year. You can drop them off at First Metropolitan Financial Services, 6295 Summer Avenue or 7239 Winchester. Help children by helping stuff the bus.
Sports 56 Traffic.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you, and we got to talk Mississippi State. And joining us to do that, Brian Haydad from Sports Talk Mississippi joins us now. Brian, thanks so much for joining us. A lot to get to with this Mississippi State team, but what have been the big storylines, the big talking points about this Mississippi State team this offseason?
You know, obviously the biggest thing is, are they going to be better? You know, when you go 2-10, that's the first question everybody wants to ask is, you know, what's going on down there in Starkville? You know, it's a program that you thought it achieved a level of consistency. You know, they had gone, 15 straight bowl games. And, bowl games are so interesting. They're not a big deal until you're not in one.
That's right.
And when you're in one, great. And when you're not, it's not a good thing. And so for State to go 2-10 a season ago, that was a really big step back for Mississippi State. They need to find a way to be improved this offseason. That starts on the defensive side of the ball more than any other. State was not just bad, not just awful, historically bad defensively last year, as bad as they could have possibly been. If they're not better on that side of the ball this year, then they're not going to be better in the win-loss column. But if they are, I think they've got enough pieces offensively that this can be a team that finds its way back to postseason play.
Brian, not an excuse. I think it's a fact. The heartbreaking loss of one of college football's biggest figures in Coach Mike Leach, and then just a hire to try to get through that with Zach Arnett, and then that didn't work. And now Jeff Lebby, the most impossible time in the history of college sports to try to start over, and that's what Jeff Lebby's having to do.
And there's excuses and there's reasons, right? And when you think about the thing with Mike Leach, that's an unprecedented thing. No other college football program ever had a coach die in that particular part of the season. And we all knew that when Leach left Mississippi State, there was going to be a transition because the way he does things and the way literally anybody else in the country does things are so different. And so to have it be so quick, there was always going to be that transition phase. And I understand why they did what they did with promoting Zach Arnett. In retrospect, the better decision might have been to have a full coaching search and see who you could get. But at the same time, this is where Jeff Lebby is right now. And one of the things he likes to say is, you got to be where your feet are. His feet are here, and that's what he has to do.
And with a newer AD.
Yeah. And then that's another, interesting thought. Selman had not when State hired Arnett, they didn't have an athletic director. Brecky Brett was the interim. John Cohen had left for Auburn. I don't know if Cohen had stayed or if they had already made their hire, would they have gone into a full search or not? I mean, State was just in a really bad spot not that you can be in a good spot when somebody passes away, but State was near impossible circumstances there. We're a few years removed from that now, and I don't think Jeff Lebby would sit there and tell you that's why his team struggled on the field at times last year. It played a role. Don't let anybody take that away from him. But this year, I think State is hoping that it's time to move forward from that, and that's where they want to do.
A healthy Blake Shapen will really help.
Yeah, he changed his last name during the offseason. He's now Blake Shapen if he stays healthy. Okay, you got to say the whole name.
Do we have a hyphen in there anywhere?
I don't know if it's all one word or how that works. I don't know what language that is. Yeah, if Blake Shapen is healthy last year, I think State could win a couple more games.
I do too.
I'll be honest with you. I think one of them might have been against Ole Miss.
Sure could have been.
Because State had some chances in that game, and that was their best defensive game of the whole year.
That game wasn't over to the clock hit 0.
Exactly. So if Shapen is healthy this year, he can be productive. From Lebby's time in Oxford and what you've seen.
Love him.
He knows how to coach offense. Mm-hmm. He knows how to get the ball into his playmakers' hands. He's got a good running back room at Mississippi State. It reminds me a lot of that running back room he had at Ole Miss when he had Ely and Snoop and Henry Parrish. And all three of those guys got carries. Well, now you've got Fluff Bothwell and Devon Booth and Johnny Daniels. I think all three of those guys can get carries. The wide receiver room is a lot of potential without a lot of proven guys.
Aiden Williams
is one of, and Brett, you know this, that every year in spring we would hear, man, Aiden Williams, he is going to be somebody. But then a couple of transfers would come in and they would be there. So I'm interested to see him. Brennan Thompson, the kid who was here today, I asked him, are you the fastest player in college football? He said, I take my chances against anybody.
State could make Ole Miss pay for Malik Neighbors with Aiden Williams.
Yeah, that would be one for sure. So I like State's chances to be good offensively, but defensively I just have a lot of questions. And that's fair after what we saw last year. New coach. They bring in a couple of veteran guys to be analysts, but they're analysts. So I don't really know what I'm expecting. Paul Rhodes and Mike McIntyre, who you know from his time in Oxford, to bring to Mississippi State. They could be huge veterans.
He might have the most likable staff out there. Mike McIntyre is beloved in Memphis with the Tigers. With his dad's background at Vandy, with his background at Colorado, at Ole Miss.
That's not a good sign, though. When people like you in college football, it means you're probably not winning.
No, that's not the case. I think you can. You can be a decent fella.
Absolutely. So, for State this year, it's just about a step forward, right?
Well, that starts opening morning against Southern Miss.
It's so weird. You think about if I talked about this game 5-6 years ago. I mean, like, okay, State's going to win like 42-10. Nobody cares. They'll just go down there and kill them. State would have lost to Marshall last year, and this is Marshall South. They got 20 plus of their players. They got their head coach. Southern Miss is a team that could very easily go from 1-11 to being a bowl team this year. I mean, they just added so many new faces, and their fans are going to be fired up for that game. 11 o'clock kick, going to be hotter than you know what down
in the Piney Woods.
Yes, right there in the Rock, as they call it.
Yeah.
I mean, State needs to not only win that game, they need to look good doing it.
What's the administration's attitude about playing that game? Do they want to play it often?
That's a good question.
Regularly, not very often?
When Scott Strickland brought that game back, played for the first time in 2014 since, was it 90? Was the last time they had played prior to that.
Yeah, Rocky's first year, wasn't it?
Yeah, played last year.
Yeah.
90, that was the last time they played. And they played in 14 and 15. Played again under Moorhead in 19. I think that was the end of that. That was a 2-for-1. This is just a straight home and home. And I don't know why any SEC school is signing straight home and homes with Sunbelt schools. That puzzles me. I don't know if it'll continue or not, especially if they go to 9 games in the SEC.
Yeah, something's got to go overboard.
Something's got to go away. So I don't know if they'll continue that. Ole Miss, obviously, Ole Miss will never play Southern Mississippi again. It will never happen. Mississippi State has played them now 5. This will be the 5th time, I think. And I think there's maybe one more left in Starkville. But, yeah, I don't know if this series will continue or not. You know me, Brad, being an older guy. I grew up on that. They played every year. I went to a lot of those games in Jackson, and I remember the last 2 that State won against Brett Favre in Hattiesburg and then Joel Logan's field goal in 1990. Those were some good games and some historic moments, but it's just a different day and age in college football.
Favre is mad at State as he is at Ole Miss about not signing him. He always brings it up.
I have no idea. He probably didn't want to play at State back in the day anyway. Those weren't great teams.
And every time he goes on that, Ole Miss didn't sign him. Neither did State.
Well, you might have avoided some trouble by not signing Brett Favre.
I take it.
Yeah.
That's true. That is true. I'm curious, we talked about the Southern Miss game. That next game against Arizona State will be a big one, but a year ago from that game, we talked about Blake Shapen. He was really good in that game. 268 yards, 2 touchdowns. Mississippi State was in that game, and at that point, we didn't know Arizona State was going to become what they were at the end of the season. That would be a big game at home for Mississippi State.
That's one of those things where you sign that series, and you're like, okay, that's a very winnable non-conference. And then, oh gosh, Arizona State makes the college football playoff and wins the Big 12, and now they'll come to Starkville as probably a top 25 team. You're right about State had a chance to win that game. State's problem in that game is they couldn't run the football. I think they ran for 2 yards, and that's not a hyperbole number. That's the real number. They were not good in that game running the football. Defensively, they did enough in that game to win. Shapen had a fumble that was recovered for a touchdown. That was a big play in that game. They just fell into a hole in the first half and couldn't dig out of it in the second half. If they're 1-0, if they can beat USM, which I think they can, and play in Arizona State as a 6 o'clock kickoff in Starkville, should have a good crowd. If you can win that game, then we can start talking about moving towards the postseason. But if you lose that game, it's going to be a real grind.
Can you start talking about this? Start 2-0, beat Alcorn State, beat Northern Illinois, and then Tennessee at Starkville to try to shock somebody. That would really start the Jeff Lebby era.
I tried to get Lebby to go with me on that path for a minute, but you know him. He's like, no, 1-0. We're worried about week 1. But you're right, Brett. What if State gets 4-0? and they're hosting Tennessee on probably a Saturday night. That's a great day of college football, by the way. That's Alabama, Georgia.
It is.
That's Ole Miss, LSU. There's another game. I think
Arkansas, Notre Dame.
Arkansas, Notre Dame is that day. So, Arkansas, Notre Dame, we already know is the 11 a.m. game.
Correct.
We know Alabama, Georgia is the night game. Ole Miss, LSU is going to be the 2:30 game. It feels like State could sneak into a night spot there. If they're 4-0 and Tennessee maybe is 4-0, gosh almighty, that's a game that State could be excited about. But then I don't know what happens.
Do you last year worked with 11, 2:30, 6:30, ABC, ESPN did?
Yeah, I think everything works really well. I like the way they let us know now that, hey, it's going to be a night game.
Me too.
Maybe it's going to be a flex game. So because for fans, it feels like we do less and less for fans every year. At least now we're giving them some idea of the games and what time, and do I need to get a hotel and things like that, because everything's so expensive. Now you get some opportunities to know exactly what you need to do.
Brian, thanks so much for joining us. It's going to be fun to see how Mississippi State can improve in year 2 under Jeff Lebby, and we'll definitely have to catch up with you during the season and see how these Bulldogs are doing.
Absolutely. Anytime, guys. Appreciate
you,
y'all.
Brian.
Yes,
Anytime.
sir.
Brian Haydad joining us from Sports Talk Mississippi to talk Mississippi State. What the Bulldogs can do this season, obviously a 2-10 year, 0-8 in the SEC last year, but Blake Shapen returns after being injured early in the season last year. The big question mark will be that defense. I'm looking at it now. Last year, defense. 117 in scoring defense, 129 in rushing defense, 104 in passing defense, 125 in total defensive yards. So that will definitely be a big emphasis in a turnaround for Mississippi State. Well, we're at SEC Media Days live from the College Football Hall of Fame in Atlanta. I want to thank all of our great sponsors. Again, Landers Ford in Collierville, Sissy's Log Cabin, Jason's Deli, First National Bank and Trust, Jim's Place in Collierville, East Memphis Ace Hardware, Gould's Salon and Spa, All-Star Chevrolet in Olive Branch, Jimmy McElroy and Associates, and Ronnie Grisani's in Regalia. And speaking of Ronnie Grisani's in Regalia, it's the first name in Memphis Italian food. Stop by for either lunch or dinner, and you can start your afternoon with lunch and get the Italian favorites with the crisp, cold Miss Mary's salad, lobster tower, fried green tomatoes, or the crab stack. Monday through Saturday, stop in for lunch any of those days. And at Ronnie Grisani's, you can also get catering. Check out the lunch catering guide at ronniegrisanis.com. Get the Elfo's Special, salad, and Italian bread, only $14 per person. And at Ronnie Grisani's, they'll even bring it to you. Give them a call, 901-850-0191. That's 901-850-0191. Pick up a pan of lasagna at Ronnie Grisani's at Regalia, or check out the entire bulk menu at ronniegrisanis.com. Get your favorites at home like chicken Alfredo, ravioli, Italian spinach, curbside pickup, or they'll deliver it to your door free within 4 miles of Regalia. And don't forget about the bar. Stay cool with their great cocktail list, and while you're there, check out one of their steaks like the 8-ounce gorgonzola and bacon-wrapped filet. Try it and thank me later. You can also find them in High Point Grocery, Super Low on Spotswood and Goodman Road, and Buster's Liquors. Make lunch or dinner easy at Ronnie Grisani's, a Memphis tradition since 1909. We talked a lot about Mississippi State and what they can be this year, but it is an interesting start to this season. At Southern Miss, home against Arizona State, and we talked about that one. That was one that it felt like they could win last year. They were so close, just came up short, and we know what happened the rest of the way for the season. But it will be fun to see how they can start the season off on the road against Southern Miss. Well, we need to get to another break, and when we return, we're going to switch gears. We just talked Mississippi State. Now we got to talk the Florida Gators. Edgar Thompson from the Orlando Sentinel, he'll join us. We'll talk DJ Lagway returning. We'll talk what this season means for the Florida Gators. We'll do all of that next on Sports Time.
Family Leisure Studio. We are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Here's what sets NST Law apart. They don't just work in Memphis, they ride for Memphis. From school fundraisers to courtroom battles, they show up where it matters. And when someone in this city gets hurt, NST goes toe-to-toe with insurance giants. No fear, no favors. It's not just the law to them, it's loyalty. And if you ever need backup after a crash, NST's got your back. NST is the way to go. Call 683-7000 or check out nstlaw.com.
They're pounding on the door. They're calling on the phone. They're threatening to close your business. If debt has your business on the brink, call Ray Reynolds, the godfather of credit. For over 40 years, Ray Reynolds has helped thousands of customers get millions in cash credit. It's no wonder why they call Ray the godfather of credit. He may even be able to raise your score above 750 before the end of the year. You could even get a new personal or business credit line up to $50,000 within days. If your credit needs a rebuild, call Ray Reynolds and receive a $1,000 cash credit card at closing. Raise your credit score to 750 or more. Call Ray Reynolds at 800-627-3749. 800-627-3749. Learn about Ray's secrets to success and how he can fix and improve your credit score to 750 or more. Call the godfather of credit rebuild, Ray Reynolds, at 800-627-3749. 800-627-3749.
It's time for SEC Media Days. Join Brett Norsworthy as he broadcasts live from the College Football Hall of Fame in Atlanta, Monday through Thursday, previewing the upcoming SEC football season and bringing you interviews with players, coaches, and SEC leaders. Tune in to Sportstime with Stats and Bryant Dacus from 3 to 6, and also hear from Stats throughout the day for SEC Media Days coverage, brought to you by First National Bank and Trust, Jason's Deli, Gould Salon and Spa, Jim's Place Grill, and East Memphis Ace Hardware.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back in Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you. We're at SEC Media Days, and we've got to talk the Florida Gators. Edgar Thompson from the Orlando Sentinel joins us now to do that. Edgar, thanks so much for joining us. A lot to talk about with this Florida team, but it starts with the starting quarterback, DJ Lagway. Kind of had to get in there early because of reasons, injuries, and everything that happened last year, but was really good when he was in there. 200 or more yards in 4 of his 7 starts, but did have 9 interceptions. How is he looking this offseason? What has been the key thing for him going into his first year as the starting quarterback? And can we get those interceptions down as he gets more comfortable with this offense?
Well, his offseason has been filled with mystery, let's say. He has not thrown a football that I've seen all year, 2025. Now, I'm not saying he's back throwing finally, but he did not throw a pass during the spring. He was resting an injured shoulder. He was coming off a lower body injury. He hurt his hamstring, if you recall, against Georgia, and he came back quickly from that. They lost at Texas big time a week later, came back, and they won 4 straight to end the season, including upsets against LSU and Ole Miss. And he was phenomenal at moments of all those games, and did have some shaky ones, as you point out, with the interceptions, but something's going on, or was going on, with his shoulder, and I've been told it's still not quite 100%, and so there's a lot of eyes on that and a lot of concerns, and tomorrow will be the first time that we've been able to talk to DJ Lagway since the Gasparilla Bowl, I believe.
You mentioned that Gasparilla Bowl. Billy Napier, safe for now, 3 bowls, 2 Gasparilla Bowls. That's about too many Gasparilla Bowls, isn't it?
Oh, it is for sure. And that game, it was like 6-0 at halftime. It was like the lowest scoring. It wasn't a great performance that day. DJ had 2 interceptions in the red zone, which, to your point, he struggles against when they drop 8 and they run zone, throw zone at him. If you play man with that guy and he gets matchups, I mean, he can drop that ball in places that, I mean, we're talking very few people that play the game. I'm talking NFL can throw.
I saw it against Ole Miss.
He is such an elite passer, and he can do it off schedule. He can do it with guys hanging on him. He can do it off 1 foot, no feet. I mean, he's amazing. I mean, he does these jump passes and he can really throw it. But the state of his arm is just a huge question. And if he is healthy or healthy enough, this could be a very good offense. The big question is, I mean, the big if is Billy Napier the play caller to bring this offense, bring out the potential of this offense?
Is he?
I don't know. I mean, he hasn't really impressed me there so far. What do I really know? I mean, the X's and O's and all that stuff are elusive for all of us, really. You see a play doesn't work, you're like, a bad play, and then maybe it was something we don't know. They always tell us this, coaches, that you really don't know what that play was supposed to do or what the assignments were. But I will say the timing of his plays sometimes are head scratchers. He'll call like a jet sweep at Tennessee last year, for example, on 4th and 1. You have very good running backs, strong physical ones, and you're running a jet sweep to Trey Wilson and stuff for a loss. Big play. He does stuff like that, and you're just wondering about it. But he has a quarterback where he can open it up with, especially if he's healthy, and they can really get defenses on their heels. Last year he had 2 games with at least 5 40-yard completions, 5 each. No quarterback in the nation had 1. He had 2. And his average yards per attempt was second in the nation to Jackson Dart. I think he was 10 yards an attempt. That's a very good metric. But his completion percentage was 59.9. He was 12-9 TD interception. Those are metrics you need to clean up. He needs to be in the 60s, 62.3 maybe. The way he throws downfield, maybe he could live in the low 60s. And the interception ratio, TD, needs to improve dramatically. But the problem is he didn't get an off season to really work with. It was all mental reps and things like that. And he's a smart kid. He's turning 20 next month. He's young. He'll be the youngest person here, I suspect.
Austin Simmons at Ole Miss is really young too.
Is he here?
Yeah.
Is he here right now?
Quarterback was here yesterday.
Okay.
On
I wasn't
Monday,
here.
rather.
Yeah. I wasn't here yesterday. He's young, and he was a Gator recruit.
Yeah, from down that way. Ryan, jump in.
Yeah, Edgar, we were talking about Billy Napier a second ago. Brett was mentioning those Gasparilla Bowls. Last season, coming into the year, Billy Napier was the hot seat quarterback in the SEC. Goes out last year, 8-5 season. What is the feeling around the program, around the fan base about Billy Napier going into 2025?
I mean, a lot more optimism. He's going to get a better reception here than he has. He first year discussing cleaning up Dan Mullen's mess. The next year they were 5-6-7, lost 3 straight to end, including 30-3 in the Las Vegas Bowl to Oregon State. And then they didn't even make a bowl. The second Gasparilla was actually under Dan Mullen. It was 2021 to UCF. And then they made the Gasparilla Bowl last year after winning 3 straight, to have their first winning season under Billy in the first in 4 years, in fact, which is far below the Gator standard. But he's 19-19. I mean, that's just the facts. His SEC record, I think he's like 10-14 maybe. It's not impressive. And it's just, he's got a lot to prove still. And I think by him continuing the play calling duties, a lot of people thought he was going to give him up even kind of in the building, I'm told, 2 years ago. And then it was assured he was going to give him up last year. And then he moves Russ Callaway to offensive coordinator, which is kind of window dressing potentially because he's going to still call the plays. So we'll see. I mean, Billy, I understood him wanting to call plays one more year with Graham Mertz because he and Mertz had kind of come through that 1 year and it was successful. But now it's like DJ in year 2. Do you want to hand that off? I mean, Billy's their best recruiter. He's trying to be the offensive coordinator and the play caller. I mean, he's just doing a lot. And in this day and age, with all the NIL negotiations and all the pieces you're putting together, trying to do everything is it's a big ask.
Hard to get anything right trying to do everything. Last question for Edgar Thompson with the Orlando Sentinel. He covers the Florida Gators. Did basketball winning at all take pressure off Billy Napier or put more on Billy Napier from administration and fans?
Ty Golden is clearly special.
Sure is.
We don't know that Billy is. I think Billy is smart. I think he has a plan that he's executed in a lot of respects very well. The player experience has been enhanced immeasurably. Recruiting trips, visits are next level. You hear there is the best there are, really. I mean, among the best, if not the best. So he's doing some things that matter and that are showing up. The roster is going to be strong. There's some people who think this is one of the top few rosters talent-wise in the league right now. I mean, it's not Texas yet. It's probably not Georgia, maybe. But it is getting up there, and talent is paramount. But where we're seeing it is in-game decisions, managing timeouts, the timing of play calling, because great play callers have timing, right? Dan Mullen was a great play caller. Now, he might not have been as good as Billy the other 6 days of the week, but on Saturdays he was better. And Billy needs to get better on Saturdays. But in terms of the pressure coming from that, I mean, Todd Golden's in year 3. I think they came in together, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And won a national title. So
it's time.
I mean, it puts pressure on you, but Billy embraces it and welcomes it and supports all the other programs and has praised Todd. But Todd, as I said, is impressive and special, and that's still to be determined with Billy Napier.
Yeah, well, it sounds like it's going to be an interesting year for the Gators. Edgar, thanks so much for joining us, and we'll definitely have to catch up with you again during the Florida season, talk some more Gators.
We promised to do that.
Yeah.
We absolutely
made the commitment, haven't we?
We are.
Thank you, Edgar.
Thanks, all right, Edgar. Guys. Thank you.
Edgar Thompson from the Orlando Sentinel covering the Gators, joining us to talk the Gators at Media Days. We need to get to another break, but before we do that, let me thank all of our sponsors again for getting us out here to SEC Media Days at the College Football Hall of Fame in Atlanta. Landers Ford in Collierville, Sissy's Log Cabin, Jason's Deli, First National Bank and Trust, Jim's Place in Collierville, East Memphis Ace Hardware, Gould's Salon and Spa, Ronnie Grisani's in Regalia, All-Star Chevrolet in Olive Branch, and Jimmy McElroy and Associates. Thanks so much for being with us. But we need to get to another break. But don't go anywhere. There's more from SEC Media Days coming up next on Sports Time.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Hi, this is Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roof Services. Do you know what Penny Hardaway and I have in common? We should both be in that building celebrating the best basketball players of all time. Of course, I'll have to buy a ticket to get in, but he should already be there. But seriously, we both surround ourselves with the best people we can find. We work hard to achieve our goals, and we are both among the best in our respective fields. At Fiveash, we can't win titles or get national awards, but what we can and do strive to do is give 100% of ourselves to give you the best product possible and one you can be proud of. So if you need a roof, siding, or gutters, give us a call at 901-367-0050, and we will do everything we can to provide you the best of everything. Fiveash Roofing. Fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Fiveash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
The very last thing anyone wants is to burden their family after passing. That's why having a trust or a will is essential. It ensures your loved ones, your spouse, children, or anyone you care about clearly understand your wishes and don't have to deal with confusion, drama, or legal hassles while grieving. Without a will, your assets could be distributed in ways you never intended. People you care about could be left out completely. Also, probate can be a long, complicated, expensive process, and it's avoidable if you have a simple trust in place. A trust or a will sets a clear plan for how you want your estate handled. They're simple, affordable, give you peace of mind. I have a simple revocable trust, and knowing my family won't have to go through probate brings real comfort. Trustandwill.com. They make it easy. They're the leaders in creating personalized trusts and wills to protect your legacy and loved ones. Do the right thing. Protect your family. Visit trustandwill.com today for total peace of mind.
Nestled in the heart of East Memphis, located corner of Park and Cherry, is a beautiful residential neighborhood. I'm here at Town Village Audubon Park interviewing a new resident, Carolyn. Share with us why you chose Town Village.
Well, if your parents or special friends need to make that big move, let me share with you my experience. It was tough for me to leave home, but then I discovered Town Village. I would like to highly recommend Town Village to you and your loved ones. After looking at all the amenities and meeting all the people and staff, I was hooked. From restaurant, bistro, 3 meals per day, housekeeping, transportation, security, health care, physical therapy, exercise room, and even a heated pool and spa. Come see us and make your new home at Town Village.
Visit us and call Daniel at Town Village Audubon Park at 901-374-7342. There's no place like home, Town Village.
Please help the children with back-to-school supplies. 1 out of 4 families can't afford to buy back-to-school supplies for their children to go back to school. Teachers have to pay out of pocket for needed materials for their classrooms. So please help the children by dropping off essential school supplies for the school year. You can drop them off at First Metropolitan Financial Services, 6295 Summer Avenue or 7239 Winchester. Help children by helping stuff the bus.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. We still see that slow traffic over in Crittenden County, West Memphis. It's been that way on and off the last hour or so, both 40 east and westbound at 55. Westbound's been really dragging the last 45 minutes or so out here at Missouri Street here near the way station. Again, going westbound is really slow here in West Memphis this afternoon where it connects with 55. Weimer's Jewelry, your diamond engagement ring headquarters this bridal season. Stop by and see them at Weimer's Jewelry, Highway 64. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis with John Harden, weekdays from 11 to 1. Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you live and local inside our Family Leisure Studios. Brett's down in Atlanta for SEC Media Days at the College Football Hall of Fame, but we're putting a pause on college football talk because we have to talk some golf. John Goen from Timber Trust joins us, talk some golf, and make our weekly picks. Big week this weekend with the Open Championship. But, John, how are things down at Timber Trust?
Things are good. Things are real good. No real complaints. Just could use. Ironically enough, Brett, we've talked about this. We could use a little rain.
I told you.
We've kind of dodged. We've dodged all the rain that a lot of folks have gotten this last, week to maybe 10 days. We really haven't gotten any of that at all. So, but golf course is in good shape. Kind of continuing to work on a couple projects here and there and getting those wrapped up. So. But pretty happy as we kind of get ready for our OB Open this weekend that we're oversold out on. And then, look forward to, we'll do our greens aerification, our yearly greens aerification, full cores and stuff on Monday. So kind of getting this last weekend in before that and kind of move on from there.
Now, for your OB Open this weekend, y'all play at the same hours they're playing at the Open Championship, right? Y'all tee off a little after midnight?
Ironically, no. So we tee off at 9 a.m., which is actually it's the one event that we run through the course of the year that the timing is actually really, really good because we'll wrap up right around the time that they're getting done so we can score the event real quick and hand out all the gifts and stuff to the winners and kind of go from there.
So you're sold out, so you don't even want to plug yet, huh?
We usually take 12 teams so we can open up the tee sheet, and allow kind of some normal play, kind of late morning. And I clearly took a different approach this month and said, the heck with it, we're just going to go where we can go to. So we have 18 teams. On top of a little bit of play in the morning. So should be a really fun event. Usually always is, but to now have a total of 72 golfers, 4-man scramble, and then everybody will draw a tour player that makes a cut inside the top 20 and go out and kind of play golf. Should be a really fun event, and the weather's looking like we can get it in. Hopefully we'll get maybe some rain Saturday or Sunday afternoon. It's kind of the way the forecast is looking, but should be able to get it all in and then wrap it up, and everybody can go home and wake up early Sunday morning to watch the end of it.
And I love the viewing at this time. I told Bryant I'm not promising that I watch when they tee off tonight, but I'm going to be watching early in the morning and look forward to on Sunday the champion golfer of the year. And Xander Schauffele says he doesn't even know where his gold medal is.
That is not surprising. Although it was his second major last year, he's probably just happy that he was able to return the claret jug at this point. So something tells me he can probably figure out a way to get another gold medal, or somebody on his team knows exactly where that gold medal's at. So I'm sure.
You think anybody ever had more fun with the claret jug and no telling what gruel went into it as John Daly did when he won in '95?
Oh, that, or when Shane Lowry won in his home country, in essence, in 2019. I'm sure there was a substantial amount of sure there was a substantial amount of odds and ends that went into the claret jug during that victory tour that I'm sure lasted for a substantial period of time.
One more thing, John, at Timber Trust. What about your scramble tomorrow afternoon?
So we were oversold last week, so if you're going to play tomorrow night, you might want to hurry up and call, just because I know we were already around 20 or so teams for tomorrow night. Last week I caved in again per about normal. We got to 29 teams last week in the scramble, so that's a couple teams over our normal number. But there's still a little bit of room left. But if you are going to plan on playing tomorrow night, hurry up and call us at 662-895-3530 to be able to sign up for tomorrow night, because I do know that we, for a Wednesday, have filled up rather quickly, and generally everybody will wake up in the morning tomorrow, first thing, figure out what their schedule looks like, and then probably complete the rest of the registration for tomorrow night.
Any carryover?
Last week, Brett, I swear on my life, that was the one where you're like, we got 29 teams. There'll be a carryover. There'll be a carryover. You want to know, I had to make probably one of the toughest announcements last week I've ever probably made in the 6 years of owning the golf course, and that is there were 2 skins last week, and one of them happened to be my wife and her partner with an eagle on hole number 7. Imagine that.
How about that?
And I'm like,
way to go, Christine.
I'm like, that was probably that was a really hard one to stomach, but very proud moment that she and her partner took home a skin that last week.
No, that's huge for sure. Open Championship this weekend, a lot to talk about there, but this past weekend, Rory McIlroy looking really good in the Scottish Open T2 finish. Are we back on Rory? Is he what kind of chance does he have this weekend at the Open Championship?
It's funny. Literally 5 minutes before our segment, I was talking to a buddy of mine, and I said, I think I made this comment about Rory before Augusta, because I think Rory played well either the week before or the last event, he played in leading into Augusta. So I'm like, forget it. He's done. He won't carry this momentum over to Augusta, because he generally never does. And sure enough, what happens, he wins at Augusta. I still feel like that there's a lot going on for him this week. Home country, home course, there's a lot there for him to kind of put on his shoulders and focus in this week. I'm not overly encouraged about Rory this week, but at the same time, I think he did it earlier this year at Augusta, and clearly, if it were to happen, it would be a pretty big story for him to win, basically in Northern Ireland. So it'd be pretty crazy.
It would be a lot of fun.
And we will see a lot of different shots, won't we?
Oh, absolutely. So with having TrackMan Simulator, Royal Portrush is actually on there. So I've not recently, but within the last probably year or so. I mean, I've played Royal Portrush, very unique golf course. But yeah, I mean, very similar to. I think the temperatures are going to be more seasonal, unlike last week at the Scottish Open. But I think everything is going to be just as firm, fast, and baked out as it was at the Scottish Open. I mean, if my golf course in the States looked like that at the Scottish Open, everybody would have a revolt. That place there was no brown or no green in any fairway that I saw. But that is typical links style golf. And from, I think, maybe what I've ascertained a little bit here and there is that, Royal Portrush is going to play extremely similar to what North Berwick played like last week. So, I think that is going to be a little bit different because back in 2019, Shane Lowry won in the rain. So I think obviously Portrush played a lot softer 6 years ago. So it will be interesting to see what it is truly like in a really firm, fast condition to kind of see how different the golf course truly plays.
Last major of the year, and then we will have a couple of events, and then the playoffs will begin in Memphis, the FedEx St. Jude Championship at TPC Southwind. But of these two guys, who needs this more? I know neither one of them need it for bank account or even ego or gratification, but Scotty Scheffler or Rory McIlroy to wrap up 2025, which one of those two needs this more?
Probably Scheffler, just from the standpoint of how inconsistent he's been through the course of the season. I think Rory's year was made as soon as he won at Augusta. I think that really was the topper for him. I don't necessarily, I guess, feel like that he really needed to do much more through the course of the year. Didn't really expect him to do more through the course of the year. Scotty's the number one player in the world, as dominant as he's been through the course of the last 18 months. He's looked much more human over the span of maybe the last 6 months, and has not, played as consistent as he had played. Now, granted, that's going to happen in golf. I mean, that happens all the time in golf. But I think at the end of the day, I think it's going to be a bigger deal for Scheffler to try to win this week than it will be for Rory.
Is Player of the Year on the line this week?
No, probably not. I mean, I think it helps in the overall conversation, but I think as we've talked about the last few years, you get on a heater during the playoffs, and all of a sudden, you kind of have the opportunity to kind of overtake everybody in the conversation if you win 2 of the 3 playoff events.
Yeah. John, one story of a guy we'll see this weekend, Wyndham Clark. The story about him being banned from Oakmont. What do you make of this story?
Well, I mean, clearly he had his little tirade.
Yeah.
At Oakmont. You, I guess, would have thought that he would have figured out a way to, kind of clear the air there a little bit. Don't know exactly what happened, but obviously his behavior, and comments from that Open are enough. And this is what you deal with when you host majors at private clubs. And those private club members have egos. And, they have the ability to be able to do that. And so I don't recall exactly when another major goes back to Oakmont, but clearly if Wyndham Clark's in the conversation, plus being, well, he'll be beyond his exemption for a U.S. Open winner at that point. But, clearly now he doesn't have the ability to be able to even qualify. Now, can things change over the span of years? Sure. Is this, a bit more of an immediate, reaction to what happened at Oakmont for this year's Open? Yes, absolutely. So, things can change over time, but at the same time, clearly, again, these things can happen when you're hosting majors at high-end, private country clubs, and you're dealing with board members and things along those lines. If the same thing would have happened at Augusta National, it wouldn't be surprising if there was a similar reaction. But in their situation, I don't see you having the ability to be able to come back from that one. I think in this situation, there's an opportunity for, time to be able to kind of heal all wounds here a little bit and kind of move on from it at that point in time when it happens.
At Augusta, I don't think he would be allowed to drive down Washington Avenue, Boulevard, whatever they call it, Washington Road.
I don't think he'd be allowed
he may
in
not
the
be able,
city of Augusta.
I was going to say, may not be allowed to be on the Bobby Jones Expressway or freeway, whatever they call it.
I think as soon as he even landed at Augusta Airport, they'd just turn him right back around.
Yeah. John, in your years at Southwind, did we ever have an incident of a player maybe not made the news that showed himself like that?
I want to say at one point in time somebody kicked a locker door or something, after a round of golf. Don't remember exactly who.
We famously had Mac O'Grady rolling around out by the practice green one year with a father of a caddy that he had berated the caddy, and the dad walked over and said, "Talk like that to me," and he popped off, and it was on. That was years before you got there. I'm going to say that was 91 or so.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's always fun little things that happen during tournament week at Southwind, and it's always a bit of a head scratcher at times as to how things get to a certain point, but
Mac O'Grady needed his tail kicked. Boy, he was something.
Yeah, exactly. And some of the guys, absolutely deserve it. So, but tournament week always provides some extremely interesting stories. So the other side of the Augusta thing is, if it did happen at Augusta, would you ever truly hear about it? Because great they narrate, manage the narrative of what kind of goes on behind the scenes. You wonder if that would have even come out if it would have happened at Augusta National.
They only tell what they want told.
Yeah, that is exactly.
Listen, this is an extreme, but something terrible could happen to somebody at Augusta National, and you'd never hear about it.
Just how's the pimento cheese?
They'd figure out where you could, you'd figure out where to bury the bodies there. I mean, the next year's renovation of some tee box.
Right.
Somebody's
one of the tunnels that we're not supposed to talk about, the tunnels at Augusta National.
Exactly.
All right, we're in enough trouble.
Yeah,
let's do
I think we need to get to picks already. Is John still in first place?
John is not in first
no,
place.
Wow. He's not. After proclaiming that both of my picks were terrible the week before.
Well, it's easy to do.
Wow, I got to change my thing.
I never heard John, and when we brought him on, say, "Hey, Landon, congratulations for getting into first place." Did y'all catch any of that?
Congrats, Landon. I'll be the first to tell you.
I appreciate that. I mean,
way to go, Landon. Good job, buddy.
At least both of my players made it.
I was just curious. I only skimmed through the results.
Listen, we all know you weren't curious at all. You wanted to stir the pot.
John, he's a reporter. He's supposed to ask questions.
I don't know how to answer this.
We just had to validate.
That wasn't. trust me, that was more of a question/statement that was happening there. That
He's
wasn't
got a
real
journalism
question.
degree, John. You're supposed to
I'm
be
a big
curious.
J journalist.
I mean, speaking
Right.
of Moore, how did Morikawa do?
Well, that's a good question.
Listen,
We got the question.
Morikawa has played terrible all year long, and I don't even know why I picked him. How about that?
All right, well, that's a good answer.
All right, let's get going
At least
with
you're
these
self-aware,
picks.
John.
Shockingly, I'm in last, and shockingly, I take Scotty Scheffler with my lock pick.
What a great pick there, Brett.
Thank you, Landon. Bryant?
Who literally admits that he's still trying to figure out how to play links golf.
Well, hey,
Yeah.
you got it. You
Maybe
got to
this
do
is
it. I
his
think.
week.
Maybe he'll figure it out.
That's right. I'm going to go with the guy that maybe he's figuring it out. Is certainly feeling at home last week. I'll go with Rory McIlroy.
Why not? John picking third, which signifies he's not in first.
Right, that would have been an easy way to figure that one out, too.
I just want to make sure before we started.
Okay. I mean, he played well last week, probably as good as he's played all year long. So I'll take Bryant's boy here, and I will take Ludwig Oberg.
Great pick.
You got it. Ludwig out of Texas Tech, where they're paying all this money for college football players. Landon.
Hands up. Landon, your pick?
Yeah, I got to think. It's been a while since I've picked all the way back here before.
Put that shade right there. In
Here we go. Here we go. Shots. Here we go. With the
I didn't even
shots
know
again.
I didn't even know you were picking fourth. I mean, I was
Yeah,
picking
here's
third.
news
here
to
we
Brian.
go.
Yeah, it was news to me.
Right, you didn't. Heaven forbid you actually look at the results when they come out on Sunday.
That's probably true.
Man,
Christmas is coming faster than this pick is, Landon.
I know, dude.
Sure
Y'all
is. We are
all
running out of
took
time.
y'all
The
all took
segment
who
only
I had
goes so
lined
long.
up.
Time's money.
You know what? Give me Xander.
X marks the spot, defending champion, going for back-to-back. So that takes me all over. Very good segue, Landon, with X. It's shock time for me. Last year, I made the point after Xander Schauffele, first name Xander, that letter X there was one of only two initials, first and last name, nowhere on the claret jug. Not anywhere on the claret jug was an X until last year was Xander Schauffele. So that leaves the only letter that's not on the famous claret jug, that leaves a Q. So I'm going to go with, I think, Frenchman, Romain Langasque, Langasque, as my shock pick to fill all the letters in the alphabet on the claret jug. Romain Langasque.
All right.
That is.
I love it, Brett. Great job.
I got pure silence from y'all. Well, I thought the connection here in Atlanta went dead.
Well, no, it didn't. You're still with us.
Romain Langasque.
I have
and
never
when
had
I
a
win
bigger
with this,
head-scratching pick in my life. I don't think.
I'll be honest. I just
I
wrote
don't
down.
even know where that came from.
I just wrote down some guy I've never heard of for Brett's pick.
Q, the
That has
Q,
a
the
bunch
letter
of
Q.
consonants in his last
That's right.
name.
Yes, there's
That's
a
what I
Q
would've written
somewhere in
down.
there. I don't know where it is, but there's a Q somewhere in there.
Now, that's a shock pick for you, folks. You don't get that
yeah,
just
is.
any golf
No,
picking.
you got that right.
No.
You certainly got the most wild pick. I'll bring
Right.
I'll bring us back in a little bit. I will go with Matt Fitzpatrick. Still maybe a wild pick. I don't know.
John, got a Z in there. That's on there. Been on there.
Wow. Okay, so I'm torn two ways.
Golly, is Christmas here already?
So, at least I don't have dead air time as I'm trying to process through the 13 people that are happening, I'm trying to pick here. You know what? I'm going to wait for tomorrow's trash talk or when we hang the phone up trash talk, and I will take the same guy that I took as a shock pick for the U.S. Open because he finished in the top 10 when it was at Port Rush last time it was there in 2019, and that is Terrell Hatton.
All right.
Really nice setup, John. Well done.
I think lucky for you, John, we're at SEC Media Days this week, so I don't know if we have all that time to trash you available. We might have to save that for next week. Landon, your final pick?
I've been trying my best during to give it out, but go ahead and give me Justin Rose.
All right, Justin Rose. Perfect. John, before we let you go, quickly tell us how we can book a tee time out at Timber Trust.
Yep, absolutely. So you can either call us 662-895-3530, visit us at timbertrustgolf.com. And again, if you are looking for any of our events that are upcoming, follow us on social media, Facebook and Instagram at Timber Trust Golf Course. We are going to revisit the Mad Scramble. We're shooting for this coming Sunday. We're going to kind of host our own since we had so many folks asking about it after this past one from a couple weeks ago. So this coming Sunday, we are hosting what we are referring to as Sunday Fun Day. It'll be a 5 o'clock shotgun. We'll have a putting contest, music on the golf course, beverages, everything along those lines. It is walking. You can visit our social media page there to be able to sign up for it. There's a link, or you can call and sign up and just go ahead and prepay for everything. Registration is at 4 p.m. Golf will start at 5 p.m. Everybody plays the exact same hole at the exact same time. So it is when we did it a couple weeks ago, it was a 54-person scramble. They shot 13 under par. So we'll do the exact same thing this coming Sunday. So join us for that. Should be a really fun afternoon again. And again, you can either visit both social media sites, Facebook and Instagram, because the link is there to be able to sign up, or you can call the golf shop at 662-895-3530 to be able to sign up for this upcoming Sunday Fun Day event.
John, as always, thanks so much for joining us. We'll talk to you again next Wednesday.
All right, guys. Thanks so much. And SEC fans, go Hokies.
Yeah, well, get that in there.
I got upset for the Hokies opening week, though, don't I, Brian?
Yes, you do. And
Hokies over South Carolina opening weekend right here in Atlanta.
It would be a wild upset set for sure. But we got to get to another break, and when we return, we're getting back to the SEC. We're going to talk Boomer Sooner. Brandon Drum from the OU Rivals site, he'll join us to talk all things OU Sooners. That's next on Sports Time.
We are real sports talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Wherever you are, stay tuned in to real sports talk. Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Everything today is technologically based. Well, except maybe you. If you're struggling with tech, no matter what kind, call Tech For You. Tech For You for TVs, home theaters, cameras, smart locks, digital storage, and more. Tech For You makes it simple and affordable. Call 697-9695. Make your home safe, comfortable, and up to date with Tech For You. Stop struggling with tech. Call 697-9695. Veteran-owned and operated Tech For You. Technology simplified.
Since 1948, in the alley, the Rendezvous. I'm with John Virgils. John, what's going on in the Rendezvous?
Brett, after 76 years, we've decided to expand our product line. Anyone who's tasted our ribs is familiar with our vinegar base. It's now available in a 32-ounce jar. It's so good to baste or marinate all meats. I even put a little bit on turnip greens. Something we've been using at the restaurant or at our house has been the Greek seasoning. My father was a cook, but my mother was a chef. And she was the one that put Greek seasoning on everything from a Mediterranean diet or a steak. My mom used it on soup, salad, veggies, fish, any meats. It's a great seasoning and a flavor enhancer. My brother Nick figured out salt and pepper was more than just McCormick's and Morton's. He's come up with a perfect blend we use to coat our shoulders and our brisket, and he used to make it for his friends as Christmas gifts, and they loved it. All these products are available at the Rendezvous or online for shipping as gifts and in many grocery stores. And if they're not in your favorite grocery store, ask your grocer to stock it.
A beloved family affair and still going strong since 1948, the Rendezvous.
What happens to former real estate agents when they want to sell their homes? This is Sheldon Rosengarten, actually Shell Dunn, with Mark's Bensdorf Realtors. I am so proud and feel so honored when former real estate agents contact me when they want to sell their homes. They know that I've been in the business for quite a while, have a great deal of experience, and know that I am good at marketing, not merely putting a sign in the yard and hoping it sells. Over the years, I have developed a highly successful strategic marketing program that can mean the difference in what you make and when. Talk to 2 to 3 real estate brokers, but make sure that I am one of them. So if you or someone you know is thinking about selling a home, remember what other real estate agents who have been in the business do. They call me, Shell Dunn Rosengarten, at 483-0546 or email me at memphisrelocate.com. I will wait to hear from you to take advantage of this good market. That's 483-0546 or memphisrelocate.com. Thank you.
Visit Frontier Western Store today for new shirts and boots. Frontier is your top Carhartt store in the Mid-South. There's thousands of in-stock shirts and jeans. They have the classic K87 pocket tee in every color they make, including new ones just released. Available small to 4X. Want new jeans? Frontier has you covered with super tough work denim by Carhartt. And you've got to check out their selection of Ariat jeans for men, women, and children. You'll love how easy it is to find the size and style you need. Have you seen Frontier's remodeled world-famous boot showroom? It continues to expand. New styles by Ariat just arrived, plus plenty of in-stock proven classics too. Whether you need work or dress boots, trust that Frontier's the place to come. See thousands of pairs of Ariat boots and thousands more by Dan Post, Corral, Durango, Rocky, Twisted X, and others. And Frontier's pricing is lower than online and chain stores, so you know just the local shop to visit. Frontier Western Store, 5880 Goodman Road in Olive Branch, and on the web at frontierwesternstore.com. Locally owned and operated since 1967.
1 out of 4 parents can't afford to buy school supplies for their children to go back to school. Teachers have to pay out of pocket for needed materials for their classrooms. Please help us and U-Haul help our children by dropping off essential school supplies for this school year. Meet us Friday, July 25th at Kroger at 3444 Plaza Avenue from 6 to 10 a.m. At Kroger at 3685 Houston Levy from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. And at Kroger at 676 Germantown Parkway from 3 to 6 p.m. Help us stuff the bus.
This traffic report is brought to you by Millington Weight Loss. For more information, call 901-436-0272.
Sports 56 traffic.
The earlier road work had it slow 40 east after Hernando de Soto Bridge coming over from West Memphis. There's been something over there today in West Memphis, Crittenden County. It's been slow. They're on I-40 at 55. Expect delays over there this afternoon as it gets heavier on 240 east from Mill Branch all the way out to 385. Weimer's Jewelry, your diamond engagement ring headquarters this bridal season. Stop by and see them this week at Weimer's Jewelry on Highway 64. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you live and local inside our Family Leisure Studios. We're also at the College Football Hall of Fame in Atlanta for SEC Media Days. And we got to talk about the Oklahoma Sooners, second year in the SEC. And joining us now to do that, Brandon Drum from the OU rival site joins us to talk some Sooners. Brandon, thanks so much for joining us. Year one of SEC play complete, 6-7 overall, 2-6 in the SEC. What was the reaction from the OU fan base following the first season in the SEC?
Yeah, I mean, they're not happy. I think that's first and foremost. Just horribly, horribly unhappy with just how the season went. There was a lot of, obviously, injuries that just made it such a down year for Oklahoma. You start the season off by not having 3 of your starting wide receivers and 4 offensive linemen out, and then you add 2 more injuries to the wide receiver unit and a few more depth pieces missing due to injuries. I think if you go back, and I know they call it the availability list every Wednesday or whatever, Thursday in the SEC, and it's for gambling purposes. Obviously, they want to make sure everybody's done right. If you're gambling your money away, which is smart by the SEC to do that, it makes it more of a betted on conference, and more money goes to the conference. So, but yeah, it just kept adding up. And I remember Herb Street just saying, "I've never seen anything like this. Like, I've never seen an injury list as extensive as Oklahoma in a season." And there were times that you would see 10, 11, 12 guys on the injury list with either out questionable or doubtful.
And nobody can survive that.
You cannot survive that.
In any league.
No. It's impossible.
Yeah, and especially.
Particularly in the SEC.
And came in both of the newbies, Texas and OU, a lot of a target. The league was ready to welcome them, weren't they?
Yeah, and the league was ready to show them welcome to the SEC.
It just wasn't real welcoming sometimes. Was everything
rough.
Was everything compounded the whole year, compounded by the Navy Bowl game loss in that style?
Yeah, well, I mean, they played that Navy game with I think 45 players, 50 players, I think, on their roster. There were guys that were in the portal. There were guys that were
in Navy treated as playing Oklahoma.
Yeah, and they had nobody. They had their whole team.
Yeah.
It's obviously a armed services team, so you're not going to get a lot of transfers.
We learned in Memphis about Navy. The Tigers had a really good team last year and went up there and got beat pretty handily.
Yeah, and look, Oklahoma, I think, gave up a 90-yard run. They just kind of got away from them after that. So it was tough. It was a tough deal.
Horvath, a good little player, isn't he? Their quarterback.
He was inconsistent throwing the ball, but man, is he athletic. Super, super athletic.
Yeah.
It was hard. It was hard to watch.
Yeah, definitely
hard to watch.
Well, you talk about quarterbacks. Let's talk about the quarterback for Oklahoma, John Mateer. A lot of talk about him this offseason of what he can bring to Oklahoma. What are you excited about the most for John Mateer and what he could bring to this Oklahoma team?
Well, I think you look at the cohesiveness that he's going to have with offensive.
I think we lost Brett. We'll get back with him connected, talking about Oklahoma and obviously what they've got. A lot of transfers coming in, especially on that offense. John Mateer coming in from Washington State to be that starting quarterback. I believe we got them now back.
Yep. So Ben Arbuckle, obviously he coached Cam Ward before he took the NIL money and went down to Miami to try to prepare himself a little bit more. I think just more competition, and that's what Mateer did. He wanted to prepare himself a little bit more. And I look, there's this preconceived notion that if he has a huge year, he's going to just go off to the NFL. But he's in a $3 million contract. It's well documented how much he's getting paid at Oklahoma. And I was talking to somebody today, and they were like, look, if he gets a third round, second round grade, you're dang right we're going to try to keep him and do everything in the power.
And Oklahoma can.
And they can and they will. You're in a Memphis is a big city. Oklahoma City's bigger now. It's just one of the fastest growing cities in the U.S. right now. So they have the luxury of NIL corporations, like that type of deal, and they use it to their advantage and have throughout the recruiting process, and they did with Mateer. So the expectations is that he's going to have the cohesiveness. He's going to have the understanding of the offense, so it's going to be a smooth transition. He's more teaching the other guys what to do. You would rather it be your quarterback teaching than everybody else teaching the quarterback when you get a new guy in the system. So that's going to be a big deal for Oklahoma. And you had the fact that he had I think almost 40-something touchdowns total last year. He had 3,800 yards passing, 800 yards rushing. I know he had double-digit rushing touchdowns and 27, 30-something touchdowns passing. I don't remember the exact number, but so the expectation is that he's going to be a big player for them, a big push for them to win more ball games this year. And he plays a lot like Baker Mayfield, so OU fans are probably going to be he's going to be very endearing to OU fans.
Our guest is Brandon Drum. He covers OU for the rival site. He covers Boomer.
Sooner!
We always do it, Brandon.
There you go.
You mentioned the resources OU can tap into now. They can still drill for oil at about 30 feet in West Oklahoma, can't they?
You can do it probably anywhere in Oklahoma, to be honest. My dad worked in the oil business.
Do it downtown Tulsa. Is the oil rig still running in downtown Tulsa like it used to?
You're actually thinking of Oklahoma City. It's right across from the Capitol.
I may be.
Yeah, there's an oil rig. Yes, it's still active right across from the Capitol.
You're going to love this. Last time I was in Oklahoma City, 1998 NCAA tournament Bryce Drew at the buzzer
Valparaiso, Ole Miss.
to beat Keith Carter in Ole Miss.
I was watching that as a ninth grader in my basketball coach's Oklahoma history class. Every time that the NCAA tournament, he would just roll the TV in.
Great
and that's
teacher.
Yeah, I agree.
Good stuff.
He's a good coach, too.
That was the last time I was in Oklahoma City. That was just a few years after the Murrah building. It was still very raw. It was the fencing and the tributes.
Fencing's still there.
Is it really?
Yeah, they never took the fencing down because people go and put up
all the tributes,
all the
little teddy
tributes and
bears.
stuff. Yeah, the teddy bears still. It's awesome. It's an awesome day. If you're going to the Ole Miss Oklahoma game, I recommend you stay downtown and enjoy Bricktown, downtown, Oklahoma City, Deep Deuce, Uptown, all that, and then obviously visit the Murrah Building Museum, Memorial Museum. It's pretty awesome. It's rough, but it's awesome.
It is rough. I am looking very much forward to coming to Norman. It'll be the last place in SEC that I haven't been until we have expansion. We're going to visit with Greg Sankey in a little less than an hour, and I'm going to ask him about expansion talk because usually something percolating when nobody's really talking about it. Were you surprised when OU in Texas got the call?
Surprised? No. There was buzz in Norman in particular that they were kind of over carrying the Big 12, like just frustrated. Didn't
Spencer Tillman lead it? I mean, he was really aggravated, wasn't he?
He was upset. There was a lot of people that were really upset. The Pac-12 situation, Bob Stoops talked about it the other day on the radio, and that almost happened, and they were about to sign the deal, and they went and asked Bob Stoops what he goes, I think it will be horrible, and within 4 years we will be mediocre because nobody watches the Pac-12. They play so late, particularly in our, they're two hours behind us and 3 hours behind you guys. So that was a big deal. So they stalled out on that. But the conversations of moving to a different conference never really ended, and there was a lot of disdain in the Big 12 for Oklahoma and Texas because they have their own networks. Everybody kind of had to do what they told them to do, and Oklahoma didn't want that near the Texas anymore. They wanted to go someplace where they felt like there were other people equals as far as the athletics and the branding and the top 10 grossing, revenue schools and all that. And Oklahoma and Texas are always in that. So it was bound to happen. I think I was shocked on the timing of it, but I felt like it was inevitable that it was trending in that direction. I actually thought it was going to be between the Big Ten and the SEC, and there was also some strong Big Ten talks because Oklahoma became such a academic kind of. They became, I don't know what you call it. They got one of the research, like only like a handful of schools get the National Research Foundation tag, and Oklahoma got that. And so when that happened, everybody's like, oh, Big Ten. And then when the SEC, we were like, okay, well, that fits more. So kind of glad. I don't want to be in Columbus, Ohio in November. No thanks.
You're going to be in Ann Arbor, though.
In September.
Right, that's right.
Big difference.
Yeah, no question. You mentioned all the injuries last year, and it was a big conversation all year about the receiver room, the offensive line, a lot of injuries there. We talked about John Mateer. They bring in Jaden Ott out of the transfer portal as well. What does the rest of this offense look like around those two guys?
That's a great question. The running back room is ridiculously talented. You've got Xavier Robinson, who came in last year, obviously beat Alabama. He's the freshman running back that beat Alabama, along with Jackson Arnold at quarterback. But you brought up Jaden Ott. You got Javante Barnes coming back, finally healthy, I don't think he's ever had under 500 yards rushing in a season at Oklahoma in his career, but he's also been banged up quite a bit. At wide receiver, you got Giovanni Gibson, who Brent Venables talked about today, saying that he's on track, out of the boot. Looks like he might be able to play at some point this year, so that's good. You got Deion Burks, who is one of the better wide receivers in the SEC. He got banged up last year. Very first game he ever played at Oklahoma, he had 3 touchdowns, so 3 receiving touchdowns. and I believe it was against. No, he had 4 in the first 2 games, 3 versus Houston, 1 in the first game. So he got banged up as the season went along and wasn't able to go. So you've got that. Jaden Gibson, hopefully his knee will come back. He was one of the better up-and-coming wide receivers before he injured his knee last year. There was a lot of big expectations for him. And then they got a freshman by the name of Elijah Thomas that everybody has huge high hopes. And then Isaiah Satania from Arkansas, who
good
has
wideout.
been, he's been a baller at Oklahoma so far, particularly through the spring, 7-on-7 skills and drills. So they're deep at tight end. Caden Helms was talked about quite a bit today, being a guy that they expect to finally reach his potential. So you got him and a few other guys at tight end that they have high hopes for. So we'll see. But the offensive line is going to be the big major thing. Experience is there. They had to do it because they played a bunch of freshmen last year and sophomores, and they had the number 1 offensive tackle come in. They had the number 3 offensive tackle come in. They got one of the top 40 players overall in the portal, depending on, I think, consensus, in Derek Simmons out of Western Carolina. And then a few other guys that have starting experience in FBS from Stanford and a few other places that they added to an already offensive line that was experienced last year, just injured. So they should be a lot better. And they brought in Kevin Wilson to help Bill Bedenbaugh, who Bill Bedenbaugh's already one of the better offensive line coaches in college football and has developed I don't know how many Pro Bowlers and All-Pros over the years and first-round draft picks. But when you add Kevin Wilson, who was there previously under Bob Stoops before he became Ohio State's OC and the head coach at a few other places, Indiana and a few other places, he's now the assistant offensive line coach. So 2 of the better offensive line minds in all college football. They should be a lot better.
That's all in.
Yep.
It absolutely is. Brandon, thanks so much for joining us. Going to be fun to see how Oklahoma looks this season. We'll definitely have to catch up with you during the season about what the Sooners are doing. Thank you again for joining us.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you, Brandon, so much.
Brandon Drum from the OU rival site joining us to talk the Sooners and what this season could be for them. We know a lot of new pieces on both sides of the ball. We know Brent Venables. It is win-now mode for him at Oklahoma. But we need to get to a break in a second. But before we do that, I got to tell you, perfect opportunity later this week into the weekend to head down to Olive Branch and check out Frontier Western Store. Family-owned and operated since 1967, Frontier Western is your one-stop shop for the biggest brands in Western wear. Check out Frontier's world-famous boot showroom. Whether it's work boots or dress boots, Frontier has you covered for the entire family with plenty of in-stock proven classics like Ariat, Dan Post, and Durango, just to name a few. Frontier Western's also the one-stop shop for Carhartt in the Mid-South, but they've also got you covered with plenty of other name brands when it comes to shirts, shorts, jeans, outerwear, whatever you're in the market for, Frontier Western has you covered. And if you're in the market for a new pair of jeans, head to Frontier Western. They've got all the brands from Ariat all the way down to Wrangler, and you'll love how easy it is to find the perfect size and style for you. Frontier's pricing is lower than online and chain stores, so you know you'll be getting the best deals. Head down to 5880 Goodman Road in Olive Branch and check out the entire selection. Open Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., and Sundays, 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. Go down there, check out Frontier Western Store. Well, let's get to another break, and when we return, it'll be time for Big Number of the Day.
Be sure to follow us at Sports56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows, stay up to date with station events, and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports56 WHBQ.
Looking for sports in all the wrong places? Try the Owner's Box Sports Bar and Grill in Lakeland's Town Square. Fun, exciting, friendly, and comfortable with wall-to-wall TVs. 24 taps for all your beers, including $3 domestic and $5 craft pints on Mondays. Monday through Friday, 3 to 6 happy hour. Music bingo Tuesdays. Daily specials and online ordering. The Owner's Box Sports Bar and Grill in Lakeland's Town Square. Highway 70. Check Facebook for daily specials and weekend music at the Owner's Box.
All 650 acquisition fee, 20 cents per mile excess mileage. Must finance through KFA, K4's SEO 39747, MSRP 25840, Telluride SG 673 3650, MSRP 41155, K5 MSRP 30415, EV9 TG 0066993, MSRP 59775. Includes all rebates and incentives. Excludes TTNL with approved credit. Dealer stock only. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 8225.
Got my man Jeff Allen on the line. Hey Jeff, things heating up over there on Mount Moriah?
We got the hottest deals in town at Gossett Kia South, Mount Moriah, Randy. Listen to this. Get a new ride for $185 per month in a 2025 Kia K4 EX 39 MPG Highway, 2025 Kia K5 GT Line, $288 a month.
And the vacation-ready 2025 Kia Telluride S front-wheel drive, $325 a month.
Yep, all $49.99 due at signing, 24 monthly.
And rates at 1.9 available, plus 2026 EV9 Lite rear-wheel drive, $419 a month, plus the 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty.
That's right, Randy. So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia on Mount Moriah.
Rick's Powder Coating for a beautiful finish every time. Rick's Powder Coating specializes in automotive, ornamental, residential, and industrial coating. With 2 conveyor lines and the largest batch ovens in the Mid-South, Rick's can accommodate all of your powder coating needs. Locally owned and operated since 2002, Rick's Powder Coating will customize a beautiful finish just for you. Drop by or call to see how Rick's Powder Coating can bring color to your life. 901-367-2771 or rickspowdercoating.com.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Big Daddy.
Hello, Big Brand. It's a guy, he wants to be big, then he gets big, he doesn't want to be big anymore, then he gets small, but the suit's too big.
Big Daddy.
The big boy.
You're a big guy. I think she's trying to pull a fast one on Big Daddy.
The big number of the day.
Well, Brett, my big number today, I'm going to go back to baseball, kind of put a wrap on All-Star festivities, and I'm going to go with the number 6. Last night, if you were watching, there were Detroit Tigers all over the place in the All-Star game. The 2025 Tigers are the first team in MLB history to have 6 or more players play in the All-Star game, but have none of them get a hit at the plate or toss a scoreless outing on the mound. So they're all out there, but none of them were over the top in the All-Star game. But it is remarkable when you look at this Detroit Tigers team and what they've become. We talked about them a lot last year, especially around the trade deadline when we were saying they're kind of one of these teams that it feels like are going to kind of be on the fringes of postseason play. Do they go out there and deal some of their big guys? Do they keep them and try to make that push? We saw they elected to keep those guys, make that push, and now this year they're completely taking advantage of those guys and look primed for another playoff run, probably a deeper playoff run this season, but you're seeing it reflected with all those All-Stars that were selected.
You're going to see a lot of them when it really matters in October.
Yeah, no, you definitely will. They look like they've got the making for a really good run in October.
Thank you again so much to Brandon Drum. I really look forward to going to Norman this year, and that inspires my big number of the day. The number is 7. That's how many all-time Heisman Trophy winners OU has amassed. That's pretty good for Boomer.
Sooner!
Well, they got everybody's attention. 7 all-time, 3 running backs. Billy Vessels, 1952. Steve Owens, 1969. And Billy Sims in 1978, the pride of Hooks, Texas. Since then, for the ultimate tailback 4 quarterbacks, Jason White in 2003, Sam Bradford in 2008, Baker Mayfield 2017, and Kyler Murray in 2018. What if John Mateer made it 5 quarterbacks and 8 Heisman Trophy winners total for OU?
Well, the way people have been talking about him this offseason, there certainly is a lot of hype around him.
Cam Ward was close last year to the Heisman.
No, he was absolutely close. And so maybe we see Mateer, make that jump from Washington State, get to a new program, and obviously it will be, be a little different from even what we saw with Ward last year, where he's going to have his offensive coordinator with him. So
speaking of Boomer, Dari Noka going by,
how about that? All right.
He's proud
Boomer.
of his thunder. Way to go, Dari.
Yeah, well, hey, big year for Oklahoma. Maybe they can continue it with the football season. But having your offensive coordinator there, I think John Mateer will feel a lot more comfortable early in the season, and it should be a good start for them.
Sure could be, and think of what it cost the U and Cam Ward down the stretch last year, losing to Georgia Tech late.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
I mean it cost them in playoff mix,
did.
Heisman mix, and it can happen.
Yeah, and that's how quick it is. I mean, it can be that one game that goes the wrong way, and hey, everything's different now, and you look up, and you're now out of a lot of things, and I think we're going to see that again, until we see any change to the college football playoffs, and obviously we'll discuss that here in less than an hour with Greg Sankey on his thoughts of expanding the playoffs. But you're going to see a lot of these teams. We talked about it last year with Miami and a handful of SEC teams. You lose that one game down the stretch, and that really changes everything.
Don't let me forget the expansion question. I always ask that question. We had a little technical glitch during Brandon. We very much apologize to him and for that. It's live radio.
Yeah.
Hookup's been very good this week, but that happens when we're doing this much live radio over these hours. But this next hour is going to be a lot of fun, talking to Crimson Tide, to the commissioner, and always wrap it up with Moe's and Humdinger's Crunch Time.
Yeah, it's a busy hour. Stay tuned because, again, we are going to talk a lot. All the question marks around Alabama. We'll get to that next with Ryan Fowler. Obviously, a massive interview with Commissioner Greg Sankey. You're going to want to make sure you listen to that. I know Greg Sankey going to have a lot of good things to say. Plenty of questions for him about the future of college athletics and the future of the SEC. And then, like Brett mentioned, we'll wrap everything up at the end of the next hour with Moe's Crunch Time. But I want to thank our sponsors one more time being with us in Atlanta at the SEC Media Days. Landers Ford in Collierville, Sissy's Log Cabin, Jason's Deli, First National Bank and Trust, Jim's Place in Collierville, East Memphis Ace Hardware, Ghoul Salon and Spa, Ronnie Grisani's in Regalia, All-Star Chevrolet in Olive Branch, and Jimmy McRoy and Associates. Don't go anywhere. We're talking Alabama next. Ryan Fowler from the game in Tuscaloosa. He'll join us on the other side. You're listening to Sports Time.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11 here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Everyone needs protection, whether you're on the field or on the road, so make sure you have the best. Bob Simpson State Farm Insurance can buckle you up with auto insurance, can back you up with life and health insurance, cover your business whether it's starting, growing, or maturing, and don't forget to insure your home, no matter if you're an owner or a renter. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Call Bob Simpson today at 901-381-1233 or go online and get a free quote at bobsimpson.org. Stay protected with your good neighbor, Bob Simpson.
When life crashes into you, literally, NST Law doesn't just show up with a briefcase. They show up with heart. They sit with families after devastating wrecks, look them in the eye, and say, "We've got you." No scripts, no legal jargon, just real people fighting for real justice. If someone turned your life upside down, NST helps you stand back up. They've been doing this for over 35 years and have won billions for their clients. NST is the way to go. Call 683-7000 or go to nstlaw.com.
Tito's Handmade Vodka is America's favorite vodka for a reason. From the first legal distillery in Texas, Tito's is 6 times distilled till it's just right and naturally gluten-free, making it a high-quality spirit that mixes with just about everything. From the smoothest martinis to the best Bloody Marys, beyond the bottle, Tito's has gained a reputation for giving back, teaming up with nonprofits around the world to serve its communities and do good for dogs. Make your next cocktail with Tito's and learn more at Tito'sVodka.com. 40% alcohol by volume, namely 80 proof, crafted to be savored responsibly.
Hi, this is Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roof Services. I wanted to take a minute and discuss advertising with you. There are so many websites that list the best service provider in your area. Even the BBB has an accredited list. You know the one thing they all have in common? A company like mine has to pay to get on that list. So that begs the question, can those lists be trusted? You know what can be trusted? History. We've been around for almost 30 years providing customers with the best service and the best products that we possibly can. So if you need a roof, siding, or gutters, give us a call. We'll come talk to you and let you decide for yourself whether or not we know what we're talking about. 5 Roof Services. Best products, best warranties, and in many cases, the best price. We're fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
5 Roofing. It's what we do. We're here for you.
This traffic brought to you by Raleigh Tire Auto Service, your local family-owned business for over 60 years.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. It's been limping along, trying to get across the Hernando de Soto Bridge this afternoon because of some emergency road work on 40 eastbound at the Hernando de Soto Bridge. Again, it's been a challenge trying to get over from Crittenden County, West Memphis on 40 going eastbound. Now it's building going westbound like it normally does this time of the afternoon on the I-40 bridge back over into West Memphis. 240's picking up out here now a little bit more as you get on to 385 Illinois Parkway going outbound, wrapping it earlier right there at 240 West at Poplar. Dandelions, Crabgrass Lawn Solution says, hey, we'll get rid of all this for you this summer. Make your yard look beautiful. Your neighbors will be jealous. Call Lawn Solutions 867-5626. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studios, we are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis. Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour brought to you by Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you as we start our third and final hour. We got to talk the Alabama Crimson Tide. And joining us to do that, Ryan Fowler from the game in Tuscaloosa. Ryan, thanks so much for joining us. Obviously, last season, year one for Kalen DeBoer, a 9-4 season. What has this offseason been like? What has the talk been around Tuscaloosa about Kalen DeBoer, about this program after year one?
You know, Greg Sankey reminded me today that he tied the old Frank Thomas from 1931 or 32 in total number of wins in a season. Now, obviously, we play more in college football than what we did, but you often forget about that because, you know, you thought Alabama would be a playoff team. And this time last year when we were out in Dallas, if you would have said, here's $1,000, would you bet that Alabama would be a playoff team?
Yep.
And I said, absolutely. They'll be a playoff team. And I think, really, if you look back, everybody's pointing to the Oklahoma game as a loss. I don't even know if they had to win that game because, let's be honest, the committee doesn't watch all these games. They wake up and look at the score, 24-3, nasty. It's one of the worst play calls from an SEC official standpoint. 14 minutes to go. They wiped the touchdown off, said it was covered up. To me, if you make that game respectable, who knows? They could have been there, but either way, you have to discuss what happened. Alabama was not a part of the playoffs. It's been a disappointing, but I think Alabama fans, this is going to surprise some of you guys. They've been patient, understanding that this was the hardest job in the history of college football, probably the history of sports, replacing Coach Nick Saban.
Only thing that would touch it is Gene Bartow going in behind John Wooden at UCLA basketball. That's the only thing that would touch it. What Shira is doing at Duke is sandbox compared to DeBoer at Alabama.
Yeah, the magnitude. But I'll say this, when I look at DeBoer, and I know this is not the question, I saw a different DeBoer than I saw last year. The confidence, the way that he looks like it. You look at it last year, they were just trying to survive. The portal is a different period. It looks like he was more confident today. I thought his answers were precise. And the amount of media attention that the University of Alabama has given, I know Texas would love to buy that. It's not for sale.
No.
When Alabama walks in, they demand the media attention. And there was probably 35 people that didn't even get a question down in the main media room that were trying to ask a question to Kalen DeBoer.
Texas never had Steely Dan do a song saying they call Alabama the Crimson Tide. They've never had they call Texas the Longhorns. They've never had that. Ryan Fowler, you said there's a different Kalen DeBoer. There's going to be a different quarterback. Who's it going to be? Well, it's going to be Ty Simpson.
It's going to be Ty Simpson. I think if it's not, you've probably got a blemish early And that's not what you're looking for. I mean,
No.
you start painting a scenario that Ty could lose it.
The league can't take a non-conference blemish.
No. And so I look at Ty Simpson being from the state of Tennessee. His dad coaches at UT Martin, comes from a background. When I look at him and I look at him as a quarterback, he has a skill set that I think a lot of college football is going to be surprised. Now, here's the thing that I hope people will understand. Jalen Milroe and Kalen DeBoer, they were compatible, but they were not a perfect fit. They
thrown together.
They were. I mean, and I think it was a survival for both of them. Now, DeBoer's never going to tell you that. I think they made it work. But what's going to happen is Nick Sheridan's going to get a lot of criticism because the offense is going to click. And I don't think it's going to be fair because you're going to give all this praise to Ryan Grubb, the new offensive coordinator that has a connection 13, 14 years with Kalen DeBoer. He's going to get all the praise. Nick Sheridan's going to be like, well, what happened? Why was it not implemented last year? I think Ty Simpson for the Kalen DeBoer, Ryan Grubb offense is a much better fit. He may not be as flashy as Jalen Milroe, but as far as sitting in that pocket, picking opposing defenses apart, I think that's where he's going to get the job done.
What about on defense? There were a lot of times last year Bama had trouble stopping people, including stopping Diego Pavia.
And I think that's when you look back. I mean, think about the two losses came after big wins. And you look at the secondary that was young. Defensive backs this time last year, we knew that it was going to be a little bit of a issue. It was probably bigger than what they thought. Had to start a couple of true freshmen back there. Well, those guys now are back, and those defensive backs. This is probably as deep of a defensive back room as I can remember in Tuscaloosa. I think, now write it down.
Landon Collins and all those.
2025. 2025. They think that they've got 5 or 6 first-round defensive backs. Now, that doesn't mean all in the same year. I'm not saying 2026.
I know.
But they feel like they have at least 5, if not 6, future first-rounders. Xavier Brown, who got a big start. You look at Demonte Jackson could work his way in. Don't forget about the name Bray Hubbard from the state of Mississippi, Ocean Springs. Came in as a quarterback. Well, he came in as an athlete, but he played quarterback. He is a guy that's, when you look at grading off the charts, Keon Sapp, Cam Calhoun, defensive backs are loaded, and you hope that that's countering some of that pressure. They didn't get to the quarterback a lot. You mentioned Diego Pavia a couple of minutes ago. They got to the quarterback. They just never could get him on the ground. I mean, L.T. Overton would not still be in Tuscaloosa if he could tackle because he got to the quarterback. He just found a way to escape. And so L.T. Overton is a big conversation there.
Well, you mentioned that defensive line. You mentioned kind of getting in the backfield, but having trouble, securing those sacks. Outside of LT Overton, what does this defensive line look like, and will they be able to kind of have that bounce-back season? I was reading somewhere that last year only, 25 sacks. That's the fewest since 2013. What does this defensive line look like as a whole?
I think defensive line, your starters are solid. You need somebody. If you think about Alabama, you think about dominant defensive linemen. They haven't had that. So when you look at Tim Keenan, bringing him to SEC Media Days tells me that they've got some confidence in him to maybe he could develop into that. James Smith's another guy that you want to kind of keep an eye on. He made some plays in the Michigan game, but that game, it really wasn't. Alabama should have won that game. And he might have been one of the very few highlights was from a defensive line perspective. A good athlete, guy that can, do some things. Defensive line, if they have an injury, I don't know if they would be able to navigate that. They just don't seem to have defensive line depth. Their starters are okay. I would say B. I don't think they're an A. But if they have an injury, you go from that B average down to C minus pretty quick unless somebody just develops and snaps and gets in there very, very quickly.
Ryan, for a long time, a great stretch of Coach Saban's tenure, not only did Alabama carry the SEC, it carried college football. Both are in doubt now, aren't they?
I guess you could say that. Sure. Because – and I think that's why Alabama's this year is so crucial. because they've heard everybody say, well, they're going to regress to the mean. They're going to come back to the middle. They're not.
Gravity.
Yeah, right. Going to bring them back down to the middle of the pack. Well, Alabama's like, hold on a minute. That's why I think this year is so important for Kalen DeBoer and this Alabama team. And I think the players are feeling that pressure because, listen, I don't like slogans that, let all the naysayers know last year. Well, they let them know something. You know what they let them know? They were right.
Yeah.
I mean, because they had all these T-shirts made, and it was, the big, they would throw the L's up. And
I went through Last Dance last year.
Yeah.
I know about slogans.
Slogans, yeah. So
the month of September at FSU, week 1, week 3, the Badgers in Tuscaloosa put it on Wisconsin up there last year.
Yeah, and then you work your way to Athens, Georgia, off the bye week. So that month of September, we won't have to wait to October to define, whether this Alabama football team is legit. And you take on a team that's kind of wounded in Florida State that really doesn't have the the talent that maybe they thought, but trying to find a way to rebound.
What is success this year in year 2 for Kalen DeBoer? Wrapping it up with our friend Ryan Fowler from Tuscaloosa.
I think you got to go to the playoffs, but I think you need to make a deep run. I think you need to be one of those 4 teams.
Real noise.
Well, yeah, and I think this team, will show you that Kalen DeBoer can coach with the elite level.
Always fun to catch up with Ryan Fowler at SEC Media Days, and we'll do it during the fall. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Ryan.
Always enjoy it. Thank you guys so much.
You got it.
Ryan Fowler joining us to talk all things Alabama from the game in Tuscaloosa. I want to thank all of our sponsors again that are making this week possible so we can talk all of these teams, all the teams we've talked today, the Crimson Tide, the Sooners, Florida, Mississippi State, and every single team at SEC Media Days that we've already gotten to or are getting to tomorrow with the final day. I want to give another thank you to all of our great sponsors, Landers Ford in Collierville, Sissy's Log Cabin, Jason's Deli, First National Bank and Trust, Jim's Place in Collierville, East Memphis Ace Hardware, Gould's Salon and Spa, Ronnie Grazzani's and Regalia, All-Star Chevrolet in Olive Branch, and Jimmy McElroy and Associates. Thank you so much for being with us all week long at SEC Media Days. Brett, getting back to Ryan Fowler and what he said, early in that conversation, he kind of talked about how they're being patient with Kalen DeBoer. I thought that was interesting based on kind of what we've all talked about and all of our guests have talked about. We've all been kind of saying it's playoff or bust for Kalen DeBoer, and maybe more than just playoff or bust, but he makes it sound like maybe we could be seeing them continue to be patient in year 2 with Kalen DeBoer.
Okay, I'll accept that. I know Ryan knows. I know he got a real feel for the pulse of the Crimson Tide football fan. But I think that's probably, okay, we'll give you one mulligan, and that's it.
Yeah.
It is aggravating them, those back-to-back Michigan losses. The stakes were huge in Coach Saban's last loss to Michigan in the Rose Bowl in the national semifinals. That one probably hurt more. But they bristled at that effort, at what it looked like against, I think, a pretty poor Michigan team that did end the year. Hey, Michigan could always say, we beat Ohio State and Bama in our last 2 games.
Doesn't get better than that, I guess. Yeah, forget the rest of the season, but those last 2 games,
they got that right.
They certainly look good.
But it was something. We'll get back into Bama talk and SEC Media Days talk after I tell you about everybody at Gould's Salon and Spa. They're one of our great sponsors this week, and they're with us throughout the year, and we appreciate them so much. They've been turning heads since 1932, Mr. Sam Gould. He had that dream to provide his clientele with a truly professional and unique fashion experience, and it's been realized with a family operation. Fathers, son, daughters, granddaughters, valuable associates from a small hair salon to today's juggernaut. Upscale ambiance, chic style that once was considered a Hollywood luxury. We have it right here in Memphis. All the great locations, never far from a Gould's Salon and Spa. Spa services, body treatments, massages, facial, and nail care, and also Meta Spa services. Go to GouldSalonSpa.com, and they have that commitment to providing a unique fashion-forward experience. Over 90 years of distinction, all the associates making our area feel so good. And it's exclusive to our area. And it's also the best holiday gift, any gift year-round for anyone is that Gould's gift card. Always the right size, the right color for Father's Day, for Mother's Day, for any event, any holiday season, that Gould's gift card. The salon products and those cards, they are the big hit from our friends at Ghoul Salon and Spa.
I thought it was interesting also what he said about Ty Simpson. We've had a lot of conversation about Ty Simpson. Is he the guy? We've heard a lot about him. We haven't really seen much of him since he stepped foot on campus at Alabama, but he kind of pointed out that maybe this is a better system fit for what Kalen DeBoer and Ryan Grubb want to do with their offense, of kind of how last year it was almost, you're just kind of trying to force the puzzle together, that maybe this will be a little bit of a better fit for what that offense wants to look like.
Yeah, as Ryan said, his dad, the coach at UT Martin, and we'll talk about another son of a head coach when we talk Texas A&M tomorrow.
That's right.
With Olin Buchanan. We'll talk about Marcel Reed, and they're born into it. They have that moxie and that status. And one of the big things, I talked about it early this morning with Greg and Eli, one of the big things for Arch Manning or any of these quarterbacks, first place, kind of a new quarterback like Ty Simpson's got to do, maybe not as much Marcel Reed, but Arch sure does. They've got to win the locker room, Brian. They've got to get the trust of those teammates and those coaches. Never mind the fans, but it starts first in the locker room where those guys know what they can count on and depend on.
No, you're absolutely right, and that's everywhere, but it's a little bit different at Alabama, and it's a little bit different now that you have a new head coach. I know it's completely different now because we're in the transfer portal era, and a lot has changed. You're bringing in a lot different guys every single season, but a lot of times when Nick Saban was the head coach there, he gets up in front of the team and says, this is going to be your starting quarterback, and all of those guys have
yes, sir,
all the trust in the world of Nick Saban. They go, oh, sure thing, coach, and then they go out and get to work. A little bit different with a new head coach at the helm, but obviously
and Saban had to go through that with Jalen Milroe. Remember how awkward early in that year was.
That's right. That's a great point. And so maybe we'll see some bumps early in the season with a new quarterback. But you look at this, and I know Kalen DeBoer talked about it a little bit. It's made some headlines today about what he said about playing at Florida State and Wisconsin. Of we play the high end competition or whatever the exact quote was, and some people have kind of chuckled at that based on what Wisconsin and Florida State were last year. But it's not easy. I mean, you're on the road against a P4 opponent. Then, you've got UL Monroe. Then you're at home against a Big Ten opponent. And then you got to go to Georgia. It is not an easy start of the season schedule for Alabama. It feels like we're kind of, broken records. It feels like we're saying that about a lot of teams in the SEC. It's not easy early in the season, but, it's going to be tough for Alabama, and they've got to be clicking early in the year if they want to be able to get to the college football playoffs this season and not have any of these awkward questions about the future of Kalen DeBoer in Tuscaloosa.
And what stuck with Alabama, and it is around the SEC, even with their improvement, even with what Clark Lea's trying to do, when you lose to Vanderbilt, the entire country, they lost to Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
So right when Alabama was kind of regaining traction from that, just go down to Tiger Stadium, to Death Valley, and slaughter LSU. Okay, you're starting to put that a little bit in the rear view, and then you have that effort at Norman. Then that was the deal closer at the College Football Playoff Committee, and coming up at 5:30, just in a few minutes, we're going to talk about that College Football Playoff Committee with the Commissioner of the SEC, Greg Sankey. We want everybody to listen in to that. We'll ask him about that committee room and how it works and all the details of it. So really invite people to listen to that.
Absolutely, but I think it's a good point you made because, look, last year, when you looked at this Alabama team, there was a lot of question before the season because you're replacing Nick Saban. That's not easy for anybody, and we talked about that with Ryan Fowler. It's the most impossible job on planet Earth to replace a guy like Nick Saban. But you look at the start of the season, you start 4-0 last year. Things are going really well.
Go.
Yeah, okay, maybe it's not hard to replace Nick Saban, and then the
big
Vanderbilt
favorite
game
at Vandy.
Yep, huge favorite at Vandy. Then that game happens, and you lose that game, and so now that game's going to be circled. But then, kind of same thing after that is you turn around. Okay, you beat South Carolina, all right. You lose on the road to Tennessee. That's a team that made the college football playoff. But then you rattle off 3 more wins. Feel like things are going well again. Okay, we're going to make the playoffs. All we got to do is beat a bad Oklahoma team and a bad Auburn team, and then there's another loss. So it almost feels like in year 2 of Kalen DeBoer, the fan base is never going to be able to be comfortable because we saw last year things are going really well, and then you play a team where everybody in the Alabama fan base said, we're going to kill Vanderbilt. We're certainly going to beat Vanderbilt. They go out and lose that. Things are going well. Of course we're going to beat Oklahoma, even if it is on the road. Have you seen the way they've been playing? You lose that game. So I feel like a lot of Alabama fans are not going to be able to relax this season because they had those games that popped up last year.
In my best Houston Nutt voice, can I trust you?
Yeah,
Can I trust
that's
you?
good. I like that, Brett. That's really good. But that's kind of what it is with Alabama this season.
Yeah.
And we'll see,
That's right.
a couple questions, with every team, obviously, with new guys coming in, leaving. They do bring back Ryan Williams, who I don't know if you heard about him, Brett. He played a lot last year as a true freshman.
17 years old.
That's right. Yeah. Now we'll be
18 candles on that birthday this year.
That's exactly right. So I don't know if we'll be talking about that now. Instead of talking about the 17-year-old freshman, we're going to be talking about, he's an 18-year-old sophomore. Yeah. He's really young. You should probably only be a freshman right now.
All right. You won't be held to it for Friday football forecast. I'm not going to hold you to it.
Oh, no.
A July prediction. Opening day, Bama against Florida State. I say blowout Tide. What do you say? In fact, that will be my college football lock that weekend. Now we'll probably be picking that game by game.
Schedule, yeah. That's actually a great question, Brett. I'm gonna look up what is that line
Give me some
right
odds.
now. I'm gonna, those week one odds are out there.
Yeah, I want to count this pick as correct if I hit it.
Of course. That's what we're going to do. We're going to flag this portion of the tape, and then first week of the season, we're going to come back. We're not going to play the line that is there during week one. We're going to play the line on middle of July that we found. Let's see. Okay, got to get through the week 0. Actually, I can just search Alabama and see.
In Tallahassee at remodel Doak Campbell.
Here you go. Alabama on the road. Let me remind everybody. You just said it. I'm going to say it 3 more times. On the road. Alabama's a 12.5-point favorite.
45-10 Tide.
I'll go the opposite. I'll say Castellanos is correct.
Backs it up?
He's maybe not completely, but he backs it up a little bit. It's closer than that double digits. It's at least a 10-point game or closer. I'll go Florida State in that. Hammer it. It feels like a Friday afternoon right now.
Right.
Give me some more picks. I don't know, but no. I think that's going to be big though for Alabama. Is with all these questions this offseason of getting that strong start. If they can go out there, if they can win that first game on the road against Florida State with that margin that you just laid out, I think there's still going to be questions, obviously, because of what we saw last year, because of what Florida State was last year. There are going to be questions. The headlines are not going to be Alabama's figured it all out and they're going to be in the college football playoffs this year. The headlines are going to be Florida State's going to be bad again this year. And so there's going to still be questions, but you got to get out to a really good start if you're Alabama to kind of quiet some of this noise around, can Kalen DeBoer be the next guy after Nick Saban?
Everybody stay tuned. The commissioner of the SEC coming up next at 5:30. Greg Sankey will be with me right here from Radio Row at the College Football Hall of Fame, and we'll wrap it up like we always do every day with Moe's and Humdinger's Crunch Time. Way back, do we have time way back real quick on
Absolutely.
Edgar Thompson talking about DJ Lagway.
Yeah.
That is developing into an issue.
Yeah, it's really developing into something, and it's something that I really didn't know about until today when I think we all kind of learned about it, and obviously we talked about it with Edgar Thompson, and I wrote down a note to bring it back up because I'll just go ahead and say it. It's what I could have done without today because that's definitely troubling where you look at this quarterback that was thrown in there last year because of injuries, and then he goes out, plays really well, a lot of expectations.
Lived up to it.
Certainly lived up to it, and now the expectations are out there of what can you do in your first real season of being the starting quarterback, and it's definitely concerning when you want that full off season of, hey, here's what we need to improve on, here's what we need to get better at, but then you're injured and you're not throwing the ball. That's definitely an issue. That's definitely a concern for this Florida team. So that'll definitely be something to monitor as we get closer to the season.
And every game's not going to be against Long Island.
And that's the thing is thankfully for them, they're not starting the season on the road against Florida State. They do get Long Island to start the season. So, he said, I'm ready to go for the season. DJ Lagway did. But you at least have that first game where you can go out there. No disrespect to Long Island. I believe in the Sharks, but you can go out there in that first game and really kind of figure things out with your. Oh, I love the Sharks.
We believe in LIU.
Brett, I love the Sharks in basketball. Not much. I don't know much about their football team. I'll be completely honest. I'll be watching them against Florida. But, that is definitely something to be a little concerned about. Well, like Brett mentioned, we're going to talk with the commissioner in just 1 second. But before we get to a break, let me remind you about our 5 o'clock sponsor. It's Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City. Jaguar Bluff City has been the premier Jaguar dealership for the greater Memphis area since 1984. Their talented team is ready to help you find your next perfect vehicle at unbeatable rates. Swing by Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City today and check out the new 2025 models like the 2025 Range Rover Sport, the 2025 Range Rover Velar, and the 2025 Defender. Test drive the Range Rover Sport, where luxury meets performance. It's a perfect mix of style, performance, and versatility, with options ranging from 360 horsepower up to 635. It's also available as a plug-in hybrid electric vehicle with $7,500 federal tax credit when leased with approved credit. Take a look at the Range Rover Velar, powered by mild hybrid technology and enhanced with the latest well-being features and fully connected entertainment system. The Range Rover Velar is the ultimate luxury compact crossover. Purchase yours today and get special 4.4% for 72 months financing available with approved credit. Don't forget about the Defender, available in multiple models to fit your needs. The Defender is built for the modern explorer, and Jaguar Bluff City is offering special interest rates for 60 and 72 months on various models. Give them a call, 877-259-6169. Go online to jaguarbluffcity.com, but head out there and test drive that new vehicle at 6335 Wheel Cove, just off of Quince, for Bluff City Jaguar. Well, we're going to talk to the commissioner on the other side, all things SEC, a lot to get to with Commissioner Greg Sankey. I want to thank all of our sponsors one more time before we get to this break, letting us be live at the College Football Hall of Fame in Atlanta. Landers Ford in Collierville, Sissy's Log Cabin, Jason's Deli, First National Bank and Trust, Jim's Place in Collierville, East Memphis Ace Hardware, Ghoul Salon and Spa, Ronnie Grazzani's in Regalia, All-Star Chevrolet in Olive Branch, and Jimmy McElroy and Associates. Thank you all so much for being with us. But let's go ahead and get to a break. When we return, Commissioner Greg Sankey's with us live in Atlanta. We'll do that next on Sports.
Add a little fun to your lunch break. Join Johnny Radio for Sports 56 Happy Hour from 11 to 1 every weekday on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director at Lexus of Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises, just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it, because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com, so whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
It's time for the pro to get everything for the job delivered. Large orders of lumber, doors, windows, paint, plumbing, anything the job needs, all from one partner. Get it today with same-day delivery. Get it tomorrow with next-day delivery on 50,000 plus products. Or get it on your timeline with scheduled delivery on everything from framing to flooring. It's time to get your whole job, all your jobs delivered. Ask about all our new delivery options at the Pro Desk. The Home Depot Pro, it's about time.
It's time for SEC Media Days. Join Brett Norsworthy as he broadcasts live from the College Football Hall of Fame in Atlanta, Monday through Thursday, previewing the upcoming SEC football season and bringing you interviews with players, coaches, and SEC leaders. Tune into Sports Time with Stats and Bryant Dacus from 3 to 6, and also hear from Stats throughout the day for SEC Media Days coverage brought to you by Landers Ford in Collierville, Ronnie Grazzani's, All-Star Chevrolet, Sissy's Log Cabin, and Jimmy McElroy and Associates.
This traffic brought to you by Raleigh Tire Auto Service, your local family-owned business for over 60 years.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. We had some emergency road work take place this afternoon right in the middle of rush hour traffic. That's why it's been crawling coming over from West Memphis, Crittenden County here on 40 eastbound, trying to get across the Hernando de Soto Bridge. Of course, it's that time of the afternoon for it to be heavy going the other direction, westbound. As it continues to build over here on 240 getting on to 385 Bill Morris Parkway. This wreck has been over here for a while as well on 240 westbound. Popular again, that's been causing some delays in that area. Hey, Dandelions Crabgrass Lawn Solutions here in Memphis says give them a call this summer. They'll make your yard look so good your neighbors will be jealous. Lawn Solutions. Call them at 867-5626. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour brought to you by Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Here comes the mirror man.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you as we got about 30 minutes left in today's show, but really excited because right now we have the commissioner of the SEC, Greg Sankey, with us to talk all things SEC. Commissioner, thanks so much for joining us. Really good to hear from you again. I want to start off with kind of this offseason, this past year or two as a whole, all the changes we've seen around college athletics, around college football, whether it's the transfer portal, NIL, house settlement, the list goes on and on. What do you make of the current era of college athletics?
I described in my remarks Monday, college sports, college football is under stress. It doesn't need some rescue. It does need to address the stressors to the extent we can. Now, the problem inherent in that statement is we have court decisions and we have state laws that have limited our ability to make some of our own decisions, to control direction on some issues. I do think we have to get back to some fundamental issues of our principles and values, like the centrality of education to college sports should never be a point of apology. And that relates to the transfer portal. The more movement that happens in a young person's life, the longer it takes to graduate, the less likely they are to graduate. That's a research-based statement. That's not an observation. It also plays into the economic piece. And part of my concern that exists with the two layered on top of each other is the missed opportunity for the educational continuity, the miss for an opportunity to build a legacy in one place. You make that big touchdown catch at School A, and you move to School B for a few more dollars, and the overshadowing of those dollars of the presence in a community. Those are part of what made, for years and years, college sports special. And I think we should be rightly concerned that those are being diminished in this environment.
Last year at playoff time, before the selection committee made the bracket up, how involved are you over that weekend with the SEC rep in the room?
Not very, and I never have been. We have an assigned responsibility, so our rep has provided all of our information. They've actually lived it, so they're maybe more expert on seeing some things than I have. Each conference is assigned 2 committee liaisons. We have weekly calls during the selection period, basically, to provide them a team-by-team analysis of information. So wins and losses, anybody can consume that. We know they're deep into video, so they have the ability with edited games to move through video consumption quite quickly, and they're dedicated to watching those games. Injury information and explaining the why, if there's something hidden in a performance, somebody wasn't in a game for whatever reason, we go deeply there. We provide that information in reports that can then be circulated through the process. We're in an arm's length from that selection process. It's not a lobbying effort. I think that gets.
Would it work? Trying to lobby it?
No, I don't think so, because you've got a 13-member committee. We've got one rep. We've got others. Wesley Walls joins the committee, so we're very involved in identifying prospective committee members. But then Wesley functions independent from us and is going to be recused. Around. Ole Miss parts, or most likely there's some evaluative pieces there. What really is important is to keep our committee liaisons up to date on. Again, we have a team sheet record. There's some superlatives. There's information about who's been played, but digging into participation, where there's been injuries, and how those may have affected a team performance. That's where we spend a lot of time.
So much talk about the future in 14 or 16. We know it's going to be 12 at least this December. We hear all the models, 5, 11, and different models. I'm for the 16 at largest. Take the 16 best teams, the ultimate meritocracy. Is that too big a hill to climb?
It is, for a couple of reasons. One, when the notion of moving beyond 4 was discussed, I have been consistently one who said I'd like all at-larges. I don't really care what the number is. At that time, the number 6, 8, 10, 12. 12 really wasn't involved. 16 was. I said, look, I'll vote for at-large, but you had to have unanimity to make progress. And you couldn't get unanimity without an accommodation for conference champions. And so the five conference champions, that will remain. The next issue is it 5 plus 7, 5 plus 9, or 5 plus 11? Those are really the options. I guess you could do 5 plus 8 and 5 plus 10, but 13 and 15 don't seem like effective numbers. And then how do you populate the bracket? And a lot of the conversation is not about the number of teams. It's about how you populate the bracket. So should there be more automatic bids? Do we want to focus on an improved committee protocol? That's really where the time and attention is being spent.
Commissioner, in your opening remarks earlier this week, you talked a little bit about that selection process and maybe updating that, improving that. I know that was what a lot of people talked about around the selection time last December, of kind of what are they looking at. We know in basketball we have the metrics. We know kind of what they're looking at. How would you like to see the selection process improved for college football?
A couple of things, if you give me a moment. One, I want to make sure that the protocol that was adopted in probably for the 2014 season when the 14 playoff came into being. Remember, we used to have BCS rankings that were all computer driven, and we went to this human committee because that was part of the outcry. And so that adjustment happened. Was prior to my time as commissioner. That protocol talks specifically about picking the 4 best teams for the college football playoff, and it ranks the others. What we have now is really 4 different segments of teams. So the top 4 who receive a bye, the next 4 who receive a home game and are in, the next 4 generally who are the last 4 teams in, and then that first group of 4 that's out. Now last year Clemson replaced the 12th ranked team in Alabama, and so that third segment of 4, that evaluation is really, really important in understanding, hey, are we making the right decisions around these distinctions and these breaks? When it was just the top 4, evaluating 12-0 and 11-1 was much easier than looking at 10-2 and 9-3s, particularly the difference in variance in schedules. So first of all, I want the protocol to make sure it's looking at these breaks properly. That's one. Second, what are the tools that are available to the committee? What are the resources? I think understanding how strength of record is evaluated is a continuing need. And I think I've said that for years, and some of my colleagues are coming around. That's kind of looking at the wins-loss. Strength of record is something new that contemplates performance elements. I think that's an important part because it looks at the opponent more deeply, their performance, your performance against them. And not every loss is equal. And I'll use Ohio State going to Oregon. So that's one of the better losses of the season. Oregon was undefeated. It's on the road. It's a close game.
It's close.
Ohio State shouldn't really be overly penalized just for a loss. Notre Dame's lost to Northern Illinois. Northern Illinois wasn't a big team. Are those losses weighted the same, or are they going to be weighted differently? The Kentucky game at Ole Miss, that one's going to be weighted differently than perhaps a loss at a Florida team that's improving on the road. I think those are the things we have to get our arms around, because there are teams in our league that play 7, 8, 9 games against winning record teams. There are teams in other leagues that play 4 or 5 of their games against teams with winning records. You're going to build up more wins in that circumstances and fewer losses. If you want more losses, play better teams, and that's what we do. That's where this real digging into data and understanding how this strength of schedule, strength of record will be evaluated. That's where it has meaning. And if we can't achieve that, we haven't said no to this automatic bid notion. That's not our focus. But you may end up in that because of the variances that exist between leagues.
Well, it leads into 9 games. Does every vote have to be unanimous? If you had a vote of 16 football coaches to go to 9 games, does it have to be 16-0? Or if it squeezes in 9-7, do you go to 9 games?
Yeah, our football coaches won't be the determining vote on this. Our athletics directors make a recommendation to our presidents. 9-7 wins.
9-7 wins, okay. Vote. And then do you put on the best face of unanimity, or would you announce a vote?
Well, we don't announce the vote, but we didn't have unanimity around expanding from 4 to 12, but we supported the move to 12.
With that, what's expansion for the SEC look like?
Members, I think 16 is a really good number.
You're staying there for a while?
We're going to pay attention to what happens around us, but 16 is a really good number. It's a lot of work to expand.
Yeah, it sure is. A harder job being on the men's basketball selection committee or this college football playoff committee?
I've not been on either of those. I'd probably say the CFP.
Because of the number?
Well, it's
shorter
basketball
season.
has more comparisons, right? Like you look at our league last year and what we did in non-conference play, and we were just dominant against the ACC, like completely dominant against the ACC.
Everything worked perfectly.
Yeah, but you had this big set of data. So you had 18 conference games and then roughly 12, 13, 14 non-conference games, depending on multi-team events and all of that. In football, you have 12. One of those may be, or 2 of those may be against other conferences that are in the big picture comparative. And you're trying to make distinctions. So I think that's a bit more challenging.
You mentioned, or Brett brought up basketball. I know we're talking a lot of football, but I do want to get a quick basketball question because you did mention the expansion of the of March Madness in your opening remarks, talking about how the SEC is in favor of expanding it. What is the reasoning behind being in favor of expansion, and how many teams would you think that the ideal addition for March Madness would be?
I'm going to use what I think was my term. I'm not looking at my script. We generally support expansion. Mm-hmm. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. Right. We're going to be fine. We had 14 teams in on the men's side, and we're going to be fine. I go back to Ole Miss's run in baseball, where they're the last team in and won the national championship. Yeah. That's a lesson in the tight competitive bandwidth, really among the top 50 programs in most sports. And I think men's basketball, even more significantly than baseball. When you look at the top 50, somebody gets healthy, somebody figures out their shot, you've got a different rotation. You've seen a team like North Carolina State last year as an 11 seed, so that's the 40th best team in the tournament, advanced to the Final Four. But they were an automatic bid entry, as I recall. But we leave a lot of teams out in that top 50 in exchange for bringing in the automatic bid conferences. And so I don't want people to lose opportunities. I'd like to build opportunities. And with the growth of Division I and the strength of teams across the top 50, I think it makes sense to have an expansion that would generally include those top 50 teams in the net.
Commissioner, thank you very much. It's an ever-changing world out there in college sports. I know in these non-conference games, that's one time that you can really fly the SEC banner and not make people mad. We've got to win these games. That's where a lot of damage can be done.
I've had, even in bowl games when we're not successful, I end up mumbling to myself that we don't understand the significance of those games even then. Because it starts a narrative.
because a chant's going to be made. In victory, we're going to chant SEC. In defeat, that other fan base is going to chant SEC.
Yeah, and that's, you go back to men's basketball. We were 32-4 against the ACC.
Yeah.
Like, there wasn't any doubt. And so when we have these opportunities in Atlanta, Tennessee, and Syracuse play, Virginia Tech and South Carolina play in that opening weekend, Ole Miss has Washington State. That Arizona State game in Starkville is a big
week 2.
Big game. We can be successful there. Texas, Ohio State.
Notre Dame coming to Fayetteville.
Yeah, those are big games. And if we can be successful there, then that presets the selection opportunity.
I bet you're in Fayetteville that day.
I am planning to be there.
Yeah,
in fact, I think I'm going to 2 games that day, as I recall.
That's what
Look
you
at
do.
that schedule. Mine has all kinds of color coding. Is Alabama, Georgia late that day?
Bama, Georgia is the 27th. It's the same day as Arkansas, Notre Dame.
Yeah, so I think that's my plan.
Yeah, Notre Dame, Arkansas real early that day.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Commissioner. Commissioner Greg Sankey joining us to talk all things SEC. And right now, plenty to talk about around the SEC as well as around just college athletics as a whole. So really fun catching up with the commissioner. Well, we need to get to another break. And when we return, we'll wrap everything up with Mo's Crunch Time.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Crunch Time is brought to you by Moe's Southwest Grill. Need catering? Moe's Taco Truck is always ready to cater for you. Just give Jenny Nash a call at 901-606-3172. Moe's.com is your go-to for all your taco crunch time emergencies.
Newsflash, Family Leisure needs your help. Family Leisure has a warehouse full of inventory, and they need it cleaned out. Do your part to make room for new items, and you get great deals on almost everything. Listen up. All in-stock patio furniture, it's up to 80% off. You can get a 4-piece deep seating set for under $1,000. Chaise lounges. You buy one and you're going to need another, and that other one will be one half off. All Polywood furniture, it's now 20 to 30% off. You buy any dining table, you're going to get an umbrella absolutely free, and they're not cheap. Now, is financing available? You better believe it. Special financing is a go. To sum it all up, Family Leisure has got to clear out its warehouse inventory, which means you're going to rack up the savings. Help Family Leisure clear out the warehouse. Family Leisure, Whitten Road at I-40, where family and fun come together to clean out the warehouse.
Since 1948, in the alley, the Rendezvous. I'm with John Burgos. John, what's going on in the Rendezvous?
Brett, after 76 years, we've decided to expand our product line. Anyone who's tasted our ribs is familiar with our vinegar base. It's now available in a 32-ounce jar. It's so good to baste or marinate all meats. I even put a little bit on turnip greens. Something we've been using at the restaurant or at our house has been the Greek seasoning. My father was a cook, but my mother was a chef. And she was the one that put Greek seasoning on everything from a Mediterranean diet or a steak. My mom used it on soup, salad, veggies, fish, any meats. It's a great seasoning and a flavor enhancer. My brother Nick figured out salt and pepper was more than just McCormick's and Morton's. He's come up with a perfect blend we use to coat our shoulders and our brisket, and he used to make it for his friends as Christmas gifts, and they loved it. All these products are available at the Rendezvous or online for shipping as gifts and in many grocery stores. And if they're not in your favorite grocery store, ask your grocer to stock it.
A beloved family affair and still going strong since 1948, the Rendezvous.
Here's what sets NST Law apart. They don't just work in Memphis, they ride for Memphis. From school fundraisers to courtroom battles, they show up where it matters. And when someone in this city gets hurt, NST goes toe-to-toe with insurance giants. No fear, no favors. It's not just the law to them, it's loyalty. And if you ever need backup after a crash, NST's got your back. NST is the way to go. Call 683-7000 or check out nstlaw.com.
You ready for vacation? Then hit the road in your next ride from Gossett Kia on the Pike, equipped with Kia's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. $185 a month for 2025 Kia K4 EX, 39 mpg highway. 2025 Kia K5 GT line, $288 a month. 2025 Kia Telluride S, third row seats, 17 driver assist features, $325 a month. Plus 2026 EV9 Lite, $419 a month. All $49.99 due at signing, 24-month lease, and rates at 1.9 available. Ask for Bobby J. He's waiting to put you in your new Kia today. That's Gossett Kia, 1900 Covington Pike. Online, KiaCovingtonPike.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
$650 acquisition fee, 20 cents per mile excess mileage. Must finance through KFA, K4's SEO 397.47, MSRP 25,840. Telluride SG 673,3650, MSRP 41,155, K5 MSRP 30,415, EV9 TG 0066993, MSRP 59,775. Includes all rebates and incentives. Excludes TTNL with approved credit. Dealer stock only. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 8/2/25.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour brought to you by Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
This is pretty cool, and we're just getting started, so.
Spanning the globe.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy! This is for all the biggest crunch time. You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that? Goodbye! Hello, Haskell. It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin. This baby is over.
Crunch Time is brought to you by Moe's Southwest Grill. Need a crunchy bite to eat? Head to Moe's for nachos, crunch wraps, tacos, salads, and more. Moe's.com is your go-to for all your taco crunch time emergencies. Well, Brett, what I learned today is we finally got the news about the Memphis Tigers in regards to the Malcolm Dandridge situation. We talked about it earlier in the show at 3 o'clock, but I'll go ahead and read this from the NCAA on what they said about the violation for the University of Memphis. Academic integrity violations occurred at Memphis when former academic counselor Leslie Brooks paid 2 softball student athletes to complete coursework for and provided test or quiz answers to a men's basketball student athlete. As a result of the violations, 3 student athletes completed in 20 contests while ineligible. Specifically, the enforcement staff and school agreed that the violation in this case occurred when Brooks asked 2 softball student athletes to assist a men's basketball student athlete with coursework for classes they had in common and said she would pay the student athletes for supporting him. The first softball student athlete went on to complete 3 assignments for the men's basketball student athlete and was paid $150. The second softball student athlete provided the answers to 5 tests and 4 quizzes to Brooks, plus the money to an additional 2 tests, plus the answers to an additional 2 tests and 1 quiz directly to the men's basketball student athlete. She was paid $400 by Brooks. The penalty summary, 2 years of probation, a $30,000 fine, plus 1% of the combined men's basketball and softball budgets, a 10-year show clause order for Brooks. If employed by an NCAA member school during that time, she will be prohibited from participating in any athletically related activity during the show clause period, and a vacation of records for the contest in which student athletes completed while ineligible. So finally, we have the answer of what this means for the Malcolm Dandridge situation. We can start putting this behind us. And all in all, I understand you've got probation. There's a show clause for Brooks. There is a little bit of a financial penalty.
Big scheme of things, 30,000 is nothing.
But all in all, I think it's a slap on the wrist, and we keep on moving, which I think is great for Memphis basketball.
It is. Like we said earlier, we were used to the holy grail with NCAA was anything academics, and now I think the NCAA is just so scared of getting sued and getting in the muck and mire of the courts, and they move right along. And the Tigers very aggressively, remember, and we don't know what it did to the team. It didn't help. They set Malcolm Dandridge down, and that hurt the end of that year. And so they got out in front of it, self-policed, and now move on. Now, I want Tiger fans to remember this. This is now 2 issues with Coach Hardaway with NCAA. They did set him down those games that 1 year, a couple games, and now this. But everybody that says that the Tigers never get a break from the NCAA, I call these 2 incidents with Penny a break from the NCAA, because there was a time that wasn't death penalty, but it was a punishment that you wouldn't be going to NCAA tournaments.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. So I think all in all, when I saw this, I'll be completely honest, Brett, when I saw this earlier this morning and I saw the tweets coming out that the NCAA has ruled on Memphis, my heart kind of stopped for a second, and I was very worried about what this was going to mean, what the answer was going to be. Then I read it and I go, okay, all right, this looks good. Let's wipe our hands and let's move on to the future for Tiger basketball. So definitely, I think, good news for the Tigers.
I was right there. What I learned is the biggest thing, it's over.
Yes,
and now
absolutely.
move forward, full steam ahead, and there's almost kind of a joke in there. Poor softball team couldn't give back any wins.
Well,
they didn't have any.
Well, that is unfortunately the truth.
And changing those record books
who
does
cares?
nothing.
Yeah.
Everybody's annoyed by that.
Oh, yeah.
Move on.
But, yeah, I guess do it if you want to, but absolutely the biggest thing, we can now move on from this. Well, what I could have done without is the news circulating around DJ Lagway. We talked earlier in the first hour with Edgar Thompson from the Orlando Sentinel, and he was saying he hasn't thrown a ball since the end of last season, that all spring he was really taking mental reps, and that is definitely a concern. We talked about how big this season is for the Florida Gators. There's been a lot of question around, is Billy Napier the guy? Can he win at Georgia or at Florida? And with DJ Lagway missing most of the offseason with this injury, there definitely now becomes question mark around him. Will he be? He said today that he would be ready for the start of the season. He was ready to go, but will that arm be ready to go? Will he be ready for his first real season as the starting quarterback? I think a lot of high expectations for DJ Lagway, but it always hurts when you're missing most, if not all of an offseason because of an injury.
Yeah, I could have done with that. I'm sorry we hadn't focused as very much on the Open Championship. We did do our golf picks, and we will watch. We will watch in just a few hours as coverage begins. It feels like in about 10 minutes from over there in Northern Ireland. On Friday, we might go across the pond and visit with somebody that's on the scene. But we've had all this going on, and we'll see if Rory McIlroy can win in Northern Ireland. And we'll see what Scotty Scheffler can do. So much for either one of them winning the Grand Slam this year. That's long over. But I could do without the last major of the year being in July. I like when the PGA's in May when we get to it. But I did like looking forward to one more after the Open Championship. But we do have a major. It's called in Memphis at the FedEx St. Jude Championship.
And that will be the nice thing. It is weird. It's a little different now because of how the whole schedule is lining up, moving majors around. But you're right. After we get to this, the next big event is going to be our event here in Memphis. And so we can kind of start looking forward to that, getting excited for that in early August. So it should be a lot of fun. But yeah, here in just a couple hours, we'll be kicking things off across the pond, and golf will be taking place. I can't promise I'll be watching any in the wee hours. I think last year I stayed up and watched the first group tee off. I don't know if I can promise that this time around. I think I'll be asleep.
I can make a promise. I can make a promise.
Okay.
I can promise I will not see the first group tee off, but I can promise I'll be watching early in the morning as I'm moving around getting ready for final day, and that's what I'm beaming to. One last day from the College Football Hall of Fame for us, and want to thank all our sponsors so very much for allowing us to be here. We'll wrap it up tomorrow with the 4 teams. It's been a fun week.
Yeah, I'll be there as well. One more day at SEC Media Days. It's going to be a lot of fun, that final push in Atlanta. And then we get out of Media Days, and it's time to start looking forward to teams getting on the field, practicing, until we ultimately get to game day. It's been a lot of fun talking about all the changes in the SEC. In our last segment, talking to Greg Sankey about the big decisions coming up around college football. So it is going to be fun. One more day with SEC Media Days, and as always, we're bringing it to you each and every day from SEC Media Days in Atlanta. I want to thank all of our sponsors one more time before we get out of here. Landers Ford in Collierville, Sissy's Log Cabin, Jason's Deli, First National Bank and Trust, Jim's Place in Collierville, East Memphis Ace Hardware, Gould's Salon and Spa, Ronnie Grazzani's in Regalia, All-Star Chevrolet in Olive Branch, and Jimmy McElroy and Associates. Thank you so much for being with us this week. One more day down in Atlanta, and we'll have it all for you tomorrow during Sports Time from 3 to 6. But that's all the time we have this afternoon. Enjoy the rest of your night. We'll talk to you again tomorrow.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
$650 acquisition fee, 20 cents per mile excess mileage. Must finance through KFA, K4 is SEO 39747, MSRP 25840, Telluride SG 6733650, MSRP 41155, K5 MSRP 30415, EV9 TG 0066993, MSRP 59775. Includes all rebates and incentives. Excludes TTNL with approved credit. Dealer stock only. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 8/2/25.
Got my man